You go. All right. Hey, we are streaming everywhere. You probably need to focus in just a little bit on this camera here, Titus. This camera here needs to focus. Needs to come in just a little bit.
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're connected. All right. This is not working. Oh, no, this is all the way down. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. There we go. This is caller line. All right. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. Let's go ahead and we already have callers. So this is Hack Nation Live. The call-in number is 573-422-4225. As always, I'm your host, Aaron Bennett. With me today again, I have my son, Matthew, from Bennett Truck Center, here to try and help answer all your questions. Yes, I am going to get other guests on here. I'm talking to all kinds of people, but I have a really busy week. We got a busy couple of weeks. As you all know, we have a product line coming out, and I have to do a lot of running around the country and doing final approvals and stuff like that. We're this close to dropping our products, so you'll have to bear with me with this show here. I have a lot of cool people coming, so stay tuned. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the calls. Again, like always, if you go over to Facebook or to YouTube and watch this instead of TikTok, you can hear the callers. If you are watching it on TikTok, you cannot hear the callers. The platform does not allow us to integrate that. So we highly encourage you to go over to Facebook to view this because you'll get a way better experience. Again, the number to call in is 573-422-4225. The intent of this show is for it to be driven by the viewers and to see how many people we can help in the shortest amount of time. We're going to go ahead and take our first caller right now, guys. There's hardly anybody in the queue, so go ahead and call in, and we should be able to get to you really quick. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. Hello. Hello. Hey, you want to call in again?
He needs to listen on Facebook and see if it's working when a caller calls in.
Hello. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, welcome to Hack Nation Live. How can we help you? Hello?
Yeah.
Stop touching it, please. Sorry, I didn't catch what you said there. Go ahead.
All right. 2 questions.
Yes, sir. Hit me with them.
Pro Lube, or what's the other additive that people are using?
Oh, there's a lot of them, brother man. If you're going to ask me if Pro Lube or X, I can already tell you that probably the answer to that question is going to be none, right? First of all, I've been watching since I was a little kid, all those same kind of bearing tests. And I have extensively watched the Pro Lube guy. I would like to see somebody that's not Pro Lube do those tests. Obviously, every single test that everybody's so excited about is done by the exact guy that's telling you to buy his product. Well, I also watched Lucas do that for years. I watched Amsoil do that for years. And I watched every other snake oil salesman out there do that for years. And I think that he's no different. I do know one thing, that diesel engines have been running for numerous years before I was even born, and Pro Lube did not exist, right? I would have to see some proof in the pudding, something with 1 million miles on it. And I can tell you from personal experience that if I had to pick between Pro Lube and doing something that is tried and true, like putting a oil spinner on or some kind of secondary filtration system, those I know for a fact make an astronomical difference, right? So should you buy Pro Lube? Shouldn't you buy Pro Lube? I think if you have, it's kind of like the Power Shot guys, what the Hot Shots guys, those guys,
Hot shot, yeah.
right? They do have a niche because they have a product that helps with stiction in a common rail. But it only works on medium duty diesels, right? And you have all these guys with heavy duty diesels dumping that crap in their engine, and all they're doing is dumping money down the toilet.
They also have the green bottle for HUI injected systems as well, which is a niche.
Sure,
It's an oil stiction product, which is for your 6.0s, C13.
So in other words, it's only applicable to an oil hydraulic system for your fuel injection. Does that make sense? But you weren't even asking about that. Pro Lube or no Pro Lube? I'd say Pro Lube. Have an independent person test your shit or shut the fuck up. That's what I think about that.
All right. And then the second question is I got my ISX has 900,000 miles, and I've been putting 2 gallons of Lucas in every oil change. Stop doing that or continue on with that?
So the only problem I have with guys putting Lucas in their system, first of all, Lucas does not make some kind of special oil. Their base stock and their additive package is no different than anybody else's. Basically, what you're doing is putting a 90-weight oil inside of your engine. But the miracle product that makes Lucas is he was the inventor of a synthetic polymer. Okay, and up until he invented a synthetic polymer, you couldn't use polymers in an engine application because there's too many gears, and the gears would cut the polymer, and in a short time, it would be rendered useless. But the synthetic polymer will bend with the gears and doesn't actually break. So he did make a miracle product, so to speak. But the problem I have with Lucas is your masking problems. Let's say that if you weren't using Lucas, you'd be using 3 gallons of oil in 10,000 miles. And so you are using Lucas and you're only using a gallon, and you're telling yourself that, you don't have that big of a problem, when really the problem with blow-by and stuff of that nature is the degradation of the oil in the oil pan. And that's how you end up with a rod out the side of the block. It's not your loss of oil that causes you to have catastrophic failure. So while you have that Lucas in there, you're doing yourself a great disservice because you're extending the life of the engine under false pretense and really accelerating the rapid wear of your components in the valve train and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, I put a gallon of Lucas in my transmission. I put a gallon of Lucas in my diffs, and I did it for years. And I would do it again, right? Because that's where it comes into its own. It's an application where it's not under the kind of the temperatures that it would see from combustion gas, and it's in there with all those gears, and you have those synthetic polymers, and I think it really shines in that application. And I do think it does a good job of slowing down oil consumption in engines, but that's part of the problem. That makes sense?
Yeah. So I'm kind of wasting my money. I'm actually, if there is a problem, I'm just hindering it, or I'm not hindering it, just
you're masking it, which is dangerous, right?
Masking it. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're masking it, it's not that bad.
Anyway.
Right.
But it is not. So the correct thing to do if you're consuming oil really bad, and it's because you have combustion gas going into the crankcase, is to rapidly accelerate your oil change intervals. You want to be changing that oil at 5,000 miles or 4,000 miles until you can get in a position where you can get the truck fixed. That would be much, much, much smarter and more beneficial and reduce your chance of a rod hanging out the side of the block way over what Lucas will do for you.
Gotcha. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, man. Thanks for calling.
You too.
Put a scoop of that in your water.
All right, guys. Again, it's 573-422-4225. If you want to be part of the show, we highly encourage you to call in. There's only 1 or 2 guys in the queue so far, so we'll get to you pretty quick. We're going to go ahead and take some calls. If you're watching on TikTok, we highly encourage you to go watch this on Facebook. It's streaming live there. It's streaming live on YouTube. And if you call in, hang on, man. We will get to you. I've seen 4 or 5 people have called and dropped right out. You just got to hang on a minute. We'll get to you.
Might be a problem too. We never have people drop out.
Hack, yeah, this is the first time anyone's dropped out. Hack Nation Live, you're on the show. How can I help you, man? Yellow.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, you.
Good, man. What can we do for you?
Okay, so I'm calling from Canada, Toronto. I run a mobile service here in the GTA area. I've been doing it for around 4 years. I want to move towards the shop. We have a good customer base. Everything's solid. Issue I'm having is so property in this area is really expensive. I can't afford to buy a shop. Rent is very expensive too. For example, if you're buying if you're renting like a 5-bay shop where you could fit like 5-6 trucks in, it's around 20 grand a month. What do you think I should do if you're in my place?
That depends on the volume, right? So you can't rent a $15,000 a month shop and go it alone with no crew or anything like that, and physically pump out enough stuff on the other side to make it viable, right? So or you're gonna have to charge an astronomical price, and then you're running this gambit of you have to have an astronomical service. And then the pressure on you becomes pretty intense to always perform, and then also always stand behind what you perform, and then one hiccup will put you under. So, I mean, are you talking about starting a shop with just you, or you have a bunch of guys you got lined up and you guys are going to bank this out?
I have a team right now. We have 4 guys. We have 4 mobile vans on the road. I'm just tired of. I'll still continue doing the mobile work, but I'm tired of doing everything outside. I need a shop, and then
If something's working great, why stop doing it though?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, if you have a niche,
right?
It's working good. There's a lot of trucking industry here, but I don't want to be outside anymore. It's I don't know.
But you also don't want to go out of business and be homeless. So you kind of got to pick. Here's how you should do it with any business, right?
That's true.
In his opinion.
If you're, maybe he does want to be homeless, I guess, but I figured not if you called that. But so here's how you should do it, I think, right? And here's how I did it. When you're first starting your business, work your job until your side hustle or whatever it is completely takes over, at least enough to subsidize your income that you're already making, right? So if your bills are $4,000 a month, don't leave your job when your business is making $500 because you made $500. Now just transfer that into exactly what you're going to do again, because when you open the shop, you are starting an entire new business. You're able to get customers out there on the road because you're providing a niche service, and these people have to have you out there. It's not going to be the same in the shop. Like I get more.
People have to come to you. Yep.
Right. I haven't started. I don't do any outside service calls at all, but I get more service calls than I do for in shop. But I don't do service calls because that's a whole nother business I have to start up and run.
Yep. And believe it or not, everybody knows I'm strictly an engine rebuilding shop. And I get phone calls around the clock, people asking me if we do mobile service, right? But my son's hitting the nail on the head there. If your mobile service can't afford to pay for that $15,000 a month in rent and all that, so if it can, then you know that you have all this time to build up your repertoire and so on and so forth, and you can't fail, right? So, but if you're struggling to get by with your 4 trucks, then you need to take a hard look at your business model. But really, nobody can. Any of those kind of things really come down to money management, honestly, and no one can, no one can help you with that except for maybe Dave Ramsey, The
other thing is
business is good. We are making money. We could afford the shop too. I don't know. I feel like I'm just scared to make the jump.
All of it's scary,
right? All of it's scary. If it wasn't scary, then nobody would work for anybody, right? But the thing is, man, is who cares if you fail? That's the biggest mistake that most people make, is they're so fucking scared to fail, right? It was like when I moved here to Texas, like hundreds of people commented in my videos, saying, how can you just drop a so successful of a business and just leave? And I made a video and replied to those comments, and I said, well, because no matter where I go, I'm going to be there, right? So in other words, I'm not scared. I'm not scared to fail. I'm not scared of whatever's going to happen, because no matter what, I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm still going to be around, right?
Yep.
What was your name again?
My name is Vic.
Vic?
Vic from Toronto.
Hey, buddy. Look, I can give you a great world example that just happened to me and my dad, pretty much. First of all, let me ask you a few questions. When you left your job and you started the mobile service, was that pretty scary?
Yeah.
How about when you bought your second?
Yeah,
third?
yeah, that's true.
How about when you bought your second, third, and fourth truck?
Yeah, no, you're right. I feel like it was just the one when I was on the van. It wasn't. I don't know. You're right, to be honest.
Well, you get more responsibility. It becomes more risky. But now having 4 trucks has become, right? When you first started, 4 trucks was incomparable to you, right? Now it's your new normal.
Yep.
You're comfortable with that. And once you get the shop, it will become your new normal, right? Like for me, I went from having $10,000 a month in overhead in November to now I have a little over 40,000 every month. At first, I couldn't sleep for a fucking month, but now that's just my new normal.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly how it will be for you. You should head towards that.
I also,
that fear.
but I want to, and we got to get going here, but I want to leave you with one word here real quick though, because there's an inverse to all this, right? When you, and my son kind of hit it on the head there, you got to make sure that you can support your venture if it isn't profitable. Right. And what I mean by that is I'm going through some growing pains right now. And everybody knows I'm huge, right? Nobody could ask to be busier than I am. But my son moved out of this shop in January. So I took over the entire shop. So I took over all the overhead. But that wasn't even a big deal. I could afford the overhead, but what set me back. So right now I'm struggling. I'm having a cash flow problem, right? And that cash flow problem wasn't caused by picking up more overhead. It was caused by picking up more jobs. So I'm able to fit more of my jobs that are in the parking lot in the shop. And every one of those costs me money, right? And now and it's going to take me probably 3 or 4 months before I realize a gain from that. But I'm in the danger zone right now, right? And if I wasn't, 23 years of different businesses behind me, it could easily have broke me, because we have, I gotta maintain way over 50,000 at any given time in my account to make it through a week, right? And that's just getting trucks out of here. And we have dropped below that, and it's quite alarming. But I know if we persevere and come to the other side, 2 months or so, it'll all level out, and I'll be more profitable on the other side, of course. And I'm more profitable right now, but I can't see it yet, and right now it hurts. Right. So I'm having growing pains right now. So you can't just, it's not all just, who cares if you fail, just go do it, which is how I am. And I agree with that mentality, because you'd never go anywhere if you're not like that. But you do got to be fucking smart, right? You do have to look at your resources and what this is going to do to you and make sure it doesn't break you. But we got to get to the next guy, brother, man. Awesome call.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
I mean, if you're really worried about it, I would just get 4 to 6 months of capital. Or just have 100 grand in the bank and you'll be fine.
That's the key. If you don't have capital savings, you're already running a pretty big risk. Again, guys, it's 573-422-4225. That's the call-in number. This is Hack Nation Live. If you're watching on TikTok, go over to Facebook or YouTube. You can actually hear the caller audio. You're on Hack Nation Live. Hello. That's you, brother, man. Let's party. What do you got?
Oh, okay. So I got a E880. I commented on one of your son's lives the other night with the DEF issue. I'm burning anywhere from 5 to 10 gallons of DEF a day. And according to Cummins, that's common, I guess, or I'm within their range of burning, and that's what I burn. And I'm local too, so I only run roughly 600 miles at the most. Is there? Because some guys I talk to, they tell me that's way too much. Because I burn roughly about 25 to 30 gallons a week. Have you guys heard of that?
Well, it depends on how much heavier you're hauling, right? So think about it. If you're doing 600 miles at 80,000, it's way different than a guy doing 40 or a guy doing 250. The torque output that you're doing determines how much of that DEF you're actually burning, not if you're sitting there or if you ran 1,000 miles or whatever it was. So, I mean, how much, what's your load capacity?
Yeah, what do you haul?
Are you just 80?
I run top to bottom. I just run, 80 to 82,000.
And what are your friends running that you're comparing to?
Well, most of the guys are right around 80,000 that I talk to, and they run dry van and stuff.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, and you got to be careful trying to compare your truck to anybody else's truck, right? The gear ratios could be different. There's just so many factors.
Yeah.
Your horsepower rating could be different. It could be the exact same engine and be vastly different horsepower. Unfortunately, for this particular question, I managed to never own a truck that required DEF on purpose, and I just have no experience with them other than we work on them all the damn time, right? But that's just us fixing engines and kicking them out of here and noticing that it has DEF on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I bought the truck, I've had nothing but DEF problems with it burning so much, and it regens. They can't tell me why it regens. It regens anywhere from 8 to 10 times a day, and they can't tell me why.
So do you have a Cummins?
Yeah, I have the X15 500 horse.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with a thought, man. I would really look into PDI's products for that. I really would. It would probably help you immensely and be worth every penny. Intake, exhaust, inner tuner, and it would probably take care of most of those problems.
Yeah, but the other thing is, you said Cummins said that's within spec, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you?
Yeah, that's what they're according to their guidelines or whatever. Because I was burning oil too, and I talked to them about my DEF about it too, with it burning so much. Because I ran a ISX, I think it was a 565 or whatever they are, like a 2012 Peterbilt with the Cummins, and we hardly used any. We were heavy hauling with that. And we hardly put DEF in once a month, maybe.
Right.
And that was local work, too.
And you're regenning nonstop. There's definitely something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of...
Yeah.
I've had a lot of customers who have had to replace their entire system from things like this. They're just having problems, can't figure it out. Like, we had a customer...
Well, I had the whole system replaced last January and February. It took them 2 months just to get all the parts because of COVID and whatnot. And backed up orders and whatever. And, they still can't give me answers why I'm using so much DEF.
And it was doing it before?
Oh.
Yeah, it's been doing it.
Oh, yeah, it's been doing it since the day I bought it from the guy. And the dealership I take it to, because it's covered under warranty, they can't give me answers why it's regenning so many times. When they hook the computer up, they could see, oh, yeah, the last 3 days it's regen pretty much once an hour when you start the truck to when you shut it off. And they don't understand why.
So
or anything.
I had a meeting with Highway and Heavy Parts 2 days ago, and we were talking about DEF issues. And there is a pattern that we do see is trucks that regen all the time is usually related to having excessive blow by. And you were saying that it's burning oil. So if you want me to,
burns oil over.
If you want me to give you my honest assessment of what's going on, it probably has a broken ring or two. That's probably what's actually going on, and that's why they can't figure out how to fix it.
Maybe it's working way harder than it needs to be.
Okay, well, you'd notice if it had a broken ring if you popped the oil cap off, wouldn't you?
Nope.
Well, that's right.
So you have to remember that that unless you have a precision machine like I own, and even it's not always 100% accurate because you have no boost, right? So you can have a truck that's not really giving you a whole lot of symptoms, even if you idle it up because it's not under boost. So the actual pressure in the cylinder is not very high at all.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, because it only burns oil over. If I do a 20,000 mile oil change, I'm down to doing it between 10 and 12,000.
Yep.
For my oil changes. I was doing them around 15, but then I watched a couple of your guys' videos and talk about doing it every 10. So that's what I bumped mine down to, every 10 to 12,000, just to keep it, because I'm at 430,000 miles on the truck, and that's why it's like, it doesn't surprise me, needing a rebuild here pretty soon, I'd imagine. So
yep.
it's coming.
Unfortunately. All right, man. Well, we probably better grab another caller. I would really look really hard on it. Where are you located?
Wisconsin.
Yeah, I would try to find a shop that has a dyno and have them see if the CFMs are too high before you're out of warranty, brother.
Okay.
Before you're out of warranty.
Okay, yeah, because the DEF system, they said it was burning too hot because they had to change the whole doser and everything. So pretty much everything but the EGR is brand new on the DEF side, and it's still doing what it was doing before. So
because it's coming from it's coming internally.
Does it have the updated EGR?
Internal.
Almost bet it.
I believe it's all still the stock what it came out of the factory or.
I'd call the dealer and see if you have the updated one. There is a update in Cummins Quick Serve. You have to update that EGR. The ones that they have like 4 different models that are pieces of shit. There's one of them that's supposed to fix it all. Maybe that's your problem.
Okay, because I know they've replaced the wiring harness up there in EGR, but they only replaced a little section of it just off the EGR.
Or I'm thinking of the cooler. My bad. EGR cooler. Is your EGR cooler new?
No.
Yeah, there's an update.
The only thing that's been replaced is the power steering and the starter are the only 2 things.
If you're regenning all the time over and over again, and I should have, kind of jumped on this from the beginning. If you're regenning over and over again, the consensus is that you most likely have an internal engine problem. And it certainly matches with your oil consumption. I would take it to somebody different that has a dyno and just have them check your CFM and see if it's way too high. All right, brother?
Okay.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Sounds good. Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Yep, bye. We're just going to burn through a couple calls real quick. You're on Hack Nation Live. Looks like you're from Idaho. How can we help you?
I'd like to say I appreciate your videos. Love your attitude.
Oh, thank you, sir. What do you got going on? What part of Idaho are you from?
I'm from Rupert.
All right. I was born and raised there in the Napa Caldwell area, out in the country, Homedale, Marsing.
No.
No.
There you go. Yeah, well, not too far. What, 160 miles from me?
Yeah, it's down the street for a truck driver.
So, yeah, just down the road. So I got a issue. I've got a 04, but it's got the 6 NZ. Got 250,000 on a complete rebuild. Got the Cat heavy haul tune on it. I do haul oversized all the time. Right now I'm 5-axle. If I put any pound of boost, even 20 pounds of boost, my pyrometer shoots to 900. And if I try and go up a hill, it will shoot extremely high. So I have to back off. And
who put the tune on there?
Cat.
Cat did. So they did the brake saver tune for the 6NZ. That's their heavy haul tune. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that tune. That tune absolutely walks the dog, and you shouldn't be having this problem. my first question would be, what was the horsepower rating of that thing before they did anything to it?
It was 550 before they did anything to it.
Okay, and that was
And when we put it on the dyno, it put 690 horsepower to the ground.
nice, and that was at Cat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Cat up there in Boise.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure they didn't put a 7CZ tune on it, but I can't imagine any world where Cat would do that to their own engine, right? So we're just gonna go with the assumption that you do have a proper tune on it. So there's only a few things that can cause that. Obviously, boost leak. It would be number one, of course. And number two would be not an adequate size turbo. This is all going to be boost issues, of course, right? And then you might not be fueling properly because of some kind of an intake air temp sensor or a boost pressure sensor or something like that. Or it could even be something as silly as the barometric pressure sensor, right? Do you have any other thing going on like that you're not telling us, like diesel freak? You have any kind of resistors or any nonsense like that hooked into the wiring harness?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. I've owned this truck since 04.
And do you have a performance?
Every bit of miles.
Is there a performance manifold on it, or?
Yes. I got the PDI manifold and the PDI 84 millimeter turbo.
Okay, so there's probably part of your problem. An 84 millimeter turbo is incredibly hard for the engine to spool up unless it is cranked to the moon. I would bet, all things being equal, right? Like there's nothing here that you haven't told me, and there's nothing underlying problem that I'm not aware of, right? Most likely,
There better not be, because Cat did all this work.
Sure, I understand, but what I'm saying is so like I'm getting ready to release my own products. I'm also going to be releasing a badass performance turbo. And part of my requirement is that we keep it to one turbo, and it's going to be a 78 millimeter 145 quick spool turbo. And it's because I don't want to ever have guys like you call and say my turbo's not performing. Right? 84 millimeter turbo is incredibly hard to spool up. So you're going to have to be like...
I do notice that. I do notice that when I hit the hill, if I'm not spooled by the time I touch that grade, I'm downshifting.
Grab a 78 millimeter turbo, and all of your dreams will come true. I'm serious. That's got to be the problem. An 84 millimeter turbo is ridiculous. I just, my mind blown over here that Cat would be involved in something like that.
Yeah, they're the ones that suggested it and said that I needed that, and I paid $2,100 for the turbo. So
yeah, you need to put a 78 millimeter turbo on there, and these problems will go away. And then when that's the problem I have with these bigger turbos, 80 millimeter and above, is you have no low range and no mid range torque. And what is trucking if it's not those two things, right? Even if you're a guy that's just running around local in town, your stop and go is all that low and mid range torque, right? So even if you're not some guy that's hitting big hills and shifting down, your 78 millimeter turbo is going to come into its own 90% more than 80 or an 82 or an 84 millimeter turbo is going to come into its own. So unless you're running across the flats of Nevada, heading to California, and the speed limit's 85 miles an hour, and you're hammered down for 12 hours straight, that 84 millimeter turbo is going to be doing you a great disservice always.
We could do something like
I did notice my fuel mileage drop.
Yeah. And it's because you're dumping raw fuel out the manifold until that turbo catches up.
You don't have the air for it.
Anyway, brother man.
Yeah, I do see that out my stacks. So I see the black smoke coming out of the stacks every time I gear up and hit the accelerator. So
don't doubt it one bit.
That's from not having enough air.
So all right, brother man, we probably better.
Yeah, I keep looking at that. I'm like, that's too much fuel.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds to me like you have a 7CZ tune on there, man. I don't want to talk any shit about the shop that you took it to, but man, if I was you, I might have somebody else just see what they put on that thing, because it sounds like a 7CZ tune, and that 84 millimeter turbo is way too big.
Well, that's great information. I'll actually do it. I'm sitting here in Waco, so I'll go up the road to Cat and have him plug it in and see what they say.
Yeah, for sure. They might try to give you some grief though, because you have PDI stuff on there. But I'd be interested to see what they say. Call back next week, man. If you get a chance. I'm really curious.
That's the one that put him on there. The tech said he suggested it. So
I understand, but Cat, that cat's not that other cat, right?
Exactly.
Huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll go up the street and I'll have them put it back on the dyno too and see how much fuel I'm actually losing on that dump.
Change the turbo. These problems will go away. I almost guarantee it.
For your money back.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll give you your money back.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a good night, man. Later.
Somebody record that.
All right, you too.
All right, again, guys, it's 573-422-4225. If you're watching on TikTok, go over to Facebook or YouTube. TikTok does not support us allowing you to hear the caller. So go on over there. We're just going to get right, keep rolling right through them, guys. If you're waiting on hold, we're going to try to get to you. Just hang on. Welcome to Hack Nation Live. Is this Ryan?
Hey, what's up, Hack? Hey, I got a question. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, I just got a question about fuel additives. But before I ask, man, that guy burning through that DEF, that's some huge consumption. Pittsburgh Power is pretty on top of their game as far as emissions. He's close enough. I would recommend run over there and have them throw it on the dyno, and with everything they got, they could maybe fix them up, hopefully. But
I bet you that.
So a long time ago, I had a comment. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I almost bet money that truck's actually blown up. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh, that's a shame. Only 430 on the odometer, too.
It is an X15.
But
so no surprise.
Well, hey, long time ago, I had a Cummins. I used to run Extreme Friction Fighter, and what sold me on it was like they poured a gallon in the oil of this cat that was shaking like crazy, and they put a glass of water on top and it smoothed it out. I got a DD15 and I run a bypass oil filter by OPS, and I've listened to plenty of podcasts with people from like, Dello and other oil companies, and they say, hey, we invest millions into making our good oils, and I run synthetic, and they say we make it so you're not supposed to add anything to it.
Yep.
Plus my OPS, it's filtering it down to like 5 micron. But I really like that product. I mean, it smoothed out my Cummins really good. I'm wondering if it'd be a waste of money, in your opinion, if you ever use diesel friction extreme, if it'd be a waste of money throwing it in, because then it smoothed it out. I mean, I don't change my oil every 100,000. If it smoothed it out, but if you think that filter would filter it out, just any input on that.
Well, first of all, the testimonial you gave us in the very beginning, I call bullshit on that, right? Because the engine doesn't shake; it stopped shaking from you pouring some bullshit in the filter.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a great way you could recreate that, like on an N14. Just go and plug number 1 injector a little bit, have it shaking, throw your dye in there, take a video, plug it back in, and look at this.
So most of the time when you like, you can see guys making videos on TikTok, and then they'll put a glass of water on the engine and this and that. For the most part, that comes down to how well they set the lash and the timing in the front gear. Okay. For it to get any smoother than that, you have to have a balanced rotating assembly. No amount of bullshit that you pour in the fuel tank is going to rebalance your engine. The OEM standard for, say, your C15 is going to be 30 grams across the board. I mean, we're talking ounces here, right? And this thing's going, what, 1,200, 1,600, 1,800 rounds per minute. That is such an intense amount of centrifugal force. That's why the engine vibrates. It has nothing to do with your injectors. If your injectors are making the engine vibrate, you have a bad injector and need to go change it. right? It has,
And I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. That
no, go ahead.
that extreme friction fighter's added to the motor oil.
Same thing. Same thing.
And it okay.
That's nonsense. There's no way in hell you can add an additive to oil and all of a sudden get rid of all the vibration, unless that engine was completely fucked, like the bearings are about to fly out the side of the
there'd
damn
have to
thing,
be
and
a
you're
lot
just
of
masking it for a few seconds, and and hopefully they turned it off quick enough where it flew out. This rod started flying out the side. There's just the nature of the way the diesel engine operates. It's impossible for that to be a thing.
Yeah, and then you got your dampener, your flywheel, your clutch, all of it that
Yep.
nobody ever takes into account when they look at their cat, how it shakes, and then their buddy's cat, who doesn't seem to shake as much. And they're like, well, mine shouldn't shake.
Most of the time, the shaking comes from guys changing the cylinder head, and every gasket is slightly different, just enough to take it slightly out of time. And most guys don't own the tooling to put it back in time, and it's close enough, so they send it, and it vibrates really bad.
Yeah, and they don't even know. They're just their top cam gear looking at cat isn't lined up perfectly.
Okay, maybe it was placebo effect for me. When I poured it in the Cummins, a couple years back, I felt like it did smooth out a bit, and I was thinking, all right, it must be taking away some friction in between the liner and the piston moving up and down. But you're kind of saying snake oil.
Of course it is. Yeah, there's too much compression in a heavy duty diesel engine. Some of these products that are out there for medium duty and light duty diesel engines, you can kind of muster up some merit to them. If we kind of stretch the fabric of truth in what they do for you, but they're almost 100% not applicable to a heavy duty diesel engine because there's too much compression. There's too much going on there. Everything's too massive, too big for a little bit of lubrication or a little bit of fuel additive or a little bit of anything to make an actual difference.
Okay. Appreciate the input, guys. Appreciate you putting on the show too.
All right, brother, man.
Thanks for joining.
You're way better off. You're way better off running a quality oil, doing your oil change intervals more often, just keeping on top of your maintenance than trying to pour all these different bottles of bullshit in there. 100%. Anyway, we got so many callers. We're just going to keep burning through them. Again, if you're watching from TikTok, we highly recommend you go over to Facebook or YouTube. You can hear the caller, and it's a much better experience. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Hi, you're on Hack Nation Live.
Hi. Hello. How are you guys tonight?
Pretty good, brother, man. What could we do for you?
Oh, I just was going to ask for some advice. We've got an 855 big cam and a 1984 70. We recently brought it back out and put it on the road. The truck had an overhaul back in 2002. It's got roughly 20,000 miles on it, and you can't hear me. I apologize. Anyway, the truck's had an overhaul back in 2002. It's got about 20,000 miles on an overhaul, and it ain't been ran a whole lot since then, and we're trying to get it broke back in. Would you guys have any suggestions? It's using quite a bit of oil.
Okay, so most of the time when you have glazed a liner, and I hate to say this to you, you're fucked. You're fucked. Okay. In the solution.
Yep, that's kind of what I was.
But not entirely. I'm gonna leave you with a plan of action here. Okay. Most of the time that entails going back in with a re-ring kit. They're only about $1,800 to $1,200, depending on which model you have and this and that. But it's still the same job. So there's still a shit ton of labor involved in this job, right? So
yes,
what you can do, and what I would recommend first, is that you go get a John Deere break-in oil. And I intend to come out with my own break-in oil. And all a break-in oil is, it is a low detergent, moly-free, high zinc oil. And the only people that make it currently for heavy-duty diesel engines is John Deere. So go get John Deere's break-in oil and change over to that and go beat the shit out of that thing. And if you get super lucky, this problem is going to go away. But it's definitely worth trying. And I am living proof that it can work. We have fixed glazed liners 2 or 3 times in the past from doing exactly what I said. But most of the time we have to go back and re-ring them. I'm talking like on an engine we rebuild and it just, it develops blow by and this and that. And we just have to go back in there for the customer and take care of it because it is what it is.
Yes, I mean it was burning a gallon, pretty close to a gallon and a half of oil a day when we started running it. We changed the oil on my boss runs Rotella P4, and it's down to about a half a gallon a day, so it's got substantially better, and the blow by's got better on the thing. It just barely has any blow by now, so I was just looking for some advice. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I would try that first, man, for sure. And the other thing is they do burn oil right out the gate, always.
Yep, that's just a normal big truck engine. We have a 2006 C15 Cat, and it burns oil too. So I know where you're coming from, and it's only got 5,000 miles on an overhaul. So
I would go do the same thing to that
it's
one.
Just
get some braking oil.
It's been ran. It might not hurt it. Well, that's worth a try. I might just do that here in the next week or so when we're back to running them hard here.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt nothing at all. It'd be great. And you don't want to run that oil too long, though. It's a very low detergent oil. Okay.
How many miles would you recommend running that oil?
200.
Just
300, maybe.
A couple hundred miles.
Yep, if that.
Now, do you unlike that Cat? Should we run the Cat oil filters on that, or are you a big stickler on oil filter brand?
Well, here's the thing. Cat doesn't make any oil filters, brother.
Yep. I figured they was outsourced, but I just know some people are the fad.
There are two companies that make filters for Caterpillar. One of them is Donaldson. The other one is Baldwin. Baldwin makes a couple of their specialty filters, and then Donaldson makes all the rest. So for me personally, I run Baldwin's high efficiency filter because it's the exact same thing.
I run Donaldson.
Okay, and probably half the price.
I can buy a whole 6-pack of them for about the price of one.
That's kind of what I was leaning towards. We're running Baldwin filters on it currently, and I know some guys say run the Cat filter. I'm like, they're probably all made in the same place if I had to guess.
And because they don't know what they're talking about, brother. That's it. And I'm not saying okay.
I appreciate it.
But here is one thing, real quick. Just because Baldwin or Donaldson might make their filter doesn't mean they're exactly the same. You're not going to cut one open and it's going to be same, right? Because they are building differences. They're building it to Cat spec. Okay, so there is something to be said for that.
Yes.
Cat does make a badass filter. That's a fact.
Yes.
All right, brother, man.
Yes, I appreciate your guys' time.
Yep. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, we're just gonna run through them, guys. You're on Hack Nation. You're on Hack Nation Live. How can we help you?
Hey, man. How are you?
Amazing. How are you doing?
I'm well. My name is Austin Talley. I'm from Alabama, and I've got a couple questions for you. All right. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Let's hear them.
All right. So I have a 2025 Pete 589 with a X15 that is fucking running me through the raggeds right now, man. 210,000 miles on the truck. And it's already in the shop, believe it or not.
I believe it.
It's already in for a sock liner. 200,000 miles on it. So it's a car hauler. I have a friend now. It's a truck owned by me. I have a friend. He has got a core for a DD15, and I'm kind of curious if it would be worth the trouble.
No.
To go ahead and repower that instead of fucking dealing with this horse shit with this Cummins.
You have the same horse shit with that DD15, number one. Number two, that is an astronomically big venture. You're going to be into that an insane amount.
I wonder if anybody even makes the harnesses yet.
Oh yeah, you can. I could. I mean, if you called me and said I want to make this happen, right? First thing I would do is try to talk you out of it because it's just such a shit show that you're talking about getting involved in there. But you could get support for that. You bet. You could get harnesses made and all the stuff that you need. But I would guess just in stuff to make it work, you're going to be into it about 15 grand. And then
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's going to be a shit show. That ISX, I know it's super disappointing that the X15s make it, the average rebuild time that we see is between 300,000 and 400,000 miles. And I already could have predicted that your failure was a dropped liner, and it's probably between 5 and 6, one of those two, right?
Right.
So the cure for that, right, is the X15 in particular. You can get a lot more longevity out of that by switching to the PDI intake. It makes a world of a difference. And I'm not sitting here trying to necessarily promote.
Go
ahead.
I watch a lot of your material, and I do see that you swear by PDI, with their hard parts and all that stuff that they seem to have their stuff together.
It's not that I swear by them. It's that for the ISX platform in particular. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that for Cat and Detroit and this and that there's not comparable products that might even be better. Right. In fact, I fully intend to produce.
Well, yeah.
I fully intend to come out with some things that are better, including VGT turbos. We have one in development right now because I understand some of the inherent problems with the VGT turbo. And it's one of the biggest reasons guys delete those things is because they don't want to pay, $13,000 for a damn turbo. Right. And I get it, but I know why they fail. I recognize why they fail, but so I'm not necessarily trying to prop PDI up, but it's pretty undisputed, man, that intake that they designed along with a good exhaust manifold, it lowers those.
Right. If you bring the air in, you definitely want it to move out, adequately as well. So.
And nobody else makes that intake. So, and PDI does make awesome products, right? And I'm a dealer for them, and I do carry their products, right? So maybe I'm a little bit biased, but I feel like I'm not at all, right? I've been using their shit for 14 years. And I'm sitting here trying to talk you into using it, right? I definitely believe in their.
Well, yeah. I mean, by all means, like I just want I want a surefire solution for this truck, man, because there is no reason I should be dealing with this kind of stuff. Right. I mean, it's a brand new truck.
But we have
it's a brand new truck,
right? But we rebuild more X15s in this shop than any other engine. That's why I'm so angry with Cummins all the time, and I rag on the red engines and this and that is because it fucking pisses me off that I am rebuilding guys' engines between 300,000 and 400,000. It's absolute bullshit. It's literally just seriously bullshit. But
yeah, I mean, like these guys out here on the road, they really seek that longevity in an engine with the the other standpoint of being reasonably affordable, which Cummins, from what I've priced and what I've seen, Cummins has kind of got that market hands down as far as affordability.
Well, you don't have any, there's not a lot of alternatives.
Yeah, right. So they're almost like a monopoly in the system.
So
one other question.
Real quick though, we noticed that post rebuild they go astronomically longer. We see the ones that we rebuild, they're getting long out of warranty, and and they're getting another 7+ 100,000 miles out of them on the second rebuild. And that's right. That's partially because your builders are setting the liner heights much higher than factory. That's number one. Number two, most guys we talk into an intake. I mean, seriously, I try to talk everybody into an intake, and my profit margin on those is pitiful. It's not about that. It's about what they do for cooling number 5 and number 6.
That is true. That is true. What kind of, and also, by the way, I'm pretty excited to see your parts drop, man. What are we looking like as far as the deadline on that?
Oh man, it's been quite the adventure. We've been trying to get these up and running for about 6 months. We actually have a film crew right here right now that's documenting everything, and we're going to be flying to Michigan later in the week, and then we're going to be flying to Georgia and down to Florida and a bunch of other places where we're having all kinds of stuff developed for us. We have some super exciting stuff coming out, man. But I don't want to I don't want to reveal too much until I'm so allowed to, so to speak. I'm partners with Highway and Heavy Parts on all this, which I couldn't be happier about that. But we're gonna change everything, man. I had a crew in here yesterday that was testing. I don't know if you saw the video I did where I tested all the liners against each other. Well, I had a crew come in here.
Oh yeah.
I had a crew come in here with special tools, like their machines are like thousands of dollars, and they were checking all of the crosshatch. So they're checking how deep the valleys are versus how high the peaks are, and they're checking for what angle we have going on, and so how much flow we're going to get out of these liners. And comparing them to the OEM, to IPD, to PDI, and in McBee and all these other brands, AFA, they're comparing them all these. And so I can tell you that on the other side of this whole process, I know who has the best shit. 100%. I know who makes the best shit. And it might not be one person makes the best shit across the board, because I can tell you that's not the case.
Well,
right. So
it sounds like it's about to be Hack Nation.
It is going to be, because once I found out that I was Michael Jordan in the industry, and Nike and Puma and Adidas started banging down my door to do a branding deal with me, I decided to go a different route, partner with Highway and Heavy Parts. I have a huge backer with very deep pockets that is allowing me to run around and do acquisitions and build our own kits and do purchase orders from people for the best products. And it all just makes sense. It's we're going to have the best kits. That's all there is to it, because we're putting the time and effort into making it happen. And we're going to release a full feature film before we drop the product line here in a few weeks, so everyone can see how we put all this together. It's going to be super exciting. We're doing the feature film right now. We've been running around with film crews. It's been pretty exciting.
Man, that's fantastic. I actually can't wait to see it. I've actually kind of taken and binge watched your videos, man. When I've got downtime, I do a few different things, man. I'm a mechanic at a shop, and I also own a truck.
Cool.
And so I'm very familiar with all this kind of stuff. And I like your outlook on the mechanic side of things, and also being an owner op, for years and years and years too. So I think if there's anybody that would really understand either end of the fence for, both us that are behind the wheel driving and both us that are working on the truck, I'd say it would be you, man, 100%. So to see what you're about to turn this game into, it's pretty impressive, man. And I wish you all the luck with it, 100%. I mean, it seems like it's flying off the shelves right now for you. And
people are certainly
so,
trying to make it fly off the shelves. We don't have anything to give them yet, but I mean, I'm supposed to have in my hand in about 2 weeks our proof of concept. So soon I'll be showing the world what we got, and within weeks of that, it'll be available. And then within the next 90 days of the release of the crown jewel, which is going to be the balanced rotating assembly. That's the thing, man. The kits are all running through machine shops right now and getting balanced, right? And all that stuff takes time.
Right.
So, but I'm glad we have the time, because not everything is fully developed, and I still get to put all kinds of input. And like right now, we're looking at doing a ring change, because we're looking really hard at the racing side. Because the racing side is just such higher quality and so much more thought out, instead of this mass production, we're looking heavily at racing applications for our rings and things of that nature, because they just have so much more to offer that the heavy duty side doesn't even really consider, because they're mass producing everything. Right. But it's a lot more than that. We want to change the industry in more ways than just having the best product, right? And we plan to do that you know, by having availability to the end user to put their input to for the dealers that we get signed up. You're not just going to be a dealer for us and fuck over everybody in town, and we keep using you, right? There's going to be like
Right.
it's going to be like Google review, but internal, right? So what I envision is, you know, guy calls me from Chicago and says, "Hey, Aaron, I watch you on TikTok all the time or whatever, and I want to bring you my truck." Well, you don't have to do that. 5 miles down the road from you, we have a preferred vendor, right? And after 4 or 5 guys go there, and everybody, and every single guy that goes there leaves a review on our portal and says, "Man, they fucked me." Right? We're no longer going to have them as a preferred vendor, because I care a hell of a lot more about people getting fucked over than I do about making $5 more off of some jackwagon.
That's about the best thing I think I've heard, and that's what's going to propel you. I do have one more question before I get off of here. I got to dial up, get ready for work tomorrow. I have talked a lot of shit back to this guy. Just curious if you know him personally. It's a fella named Dale Lawson that comments on your Facebook videos and they're running his mouth.
No, I don't know him. But
Saying some outlander stuff.
So Facebook in particular, I just not a big fan of Meta. So my sons were doing all the posting on Facebook, and I've only been on Facebook on a personal level for the last week. And I can tell you one thing, I was pretty appalled when I went over to Facebook at how just horribly rotten people are, because the regulation there is totally different than TikTok. If somebody's sitting there just frothing at the mouth, TikTok will ban their account, right? Independent of me. So I have a personal policy that I never block anybody, no matter how nasty they're being. The only time I ever block anybody is if they're trolling, and trolling to me is you're commenting on every one of my videos just trying to elicit a reaction from me, right? And then I'll block you, because I don't have time for your stupid grade school nonsense. But I let people say whatever they want, and I don't pull their comments down. And you want to get on there and say, "I'm the worst mechanic on planet Earth," and this and that, I leave it. I always leave them. You can go look through my comments, and you're going to see comments like that all the time. I never take them down.
Yeah, people do tend to say some pretty outlandish stuff, and you know, for what? I mean, for what reason? You're trying to just get a rise out of somebody who's out here trying to do everybody a genuine favor.
You just described Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook is the worst. I had the same experience when I went on there as you. I go on there. I don't have a single positive comment on Facebook. It is all "fuck you," "I hate you," "you're the worst." I mean, I'm getting a lot of followers on there, a lot of likes,
and you go over to TikTok, and it's polar opposite, right? And it's literally just because people can get away with it on Facebook, and
people start fist fighting other people on TikTok.
I have been cleaning up my, but I am clapping back at everybody. If you're one of those people on Facebook that thinks you're just going to talk shit to me nonstop, you're in for a rude awakening. I've been clapping back at everybody on there, and then once I figure out how to stitch videos on there, I'm going to crush all you asswipes.
I don't even look at my comments on Facebook. I don't know how to. Really.
I love doing that though. That keeps me going. I love clapping back at my haters. I changed my business name to Hack Nation because my haters kept calling me Hack. So that's how much you guys bug me. I love you. Anyway, brother man, we got to let you go. We got so many people on hold.
Well, all right, man. You guys have a good night. I'm gonna hop in the shower, get ready for another day.
Party naked, brother man. Have a good night.
Send this photo.
He can send you a photo.
Send it to the group chat.
All right, there is a heck of a lot of people in the queue.
I gotta go at 9.
I appreciate you guys for hanging on. I'm not gonna give out the number anymore because this will probably enough people to get us to the end of the show. Actually, it's only 8. If you want to call in, we'll probably still get to you. Let's go ahead and start taking some of these calls. Hack Nation Live, how can we help you? Yellow. Oh, this guy waited so long.
I'm going to say his phone number live, and maybe he'll respond too. Fine.
Hello. Okay, we're going to come back to him. I'm going to return him to the queue, and We'll come back to you. Hack Nation Live.
How
Yep.
can we help?
Hello.
Hey, this is Roman. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Is this Marvin?
Roman.
All right. What can we do for
I'm an
you?
owner-operator. I work in the oil fields. I got 2 trucks. I got a C15 and a C13. And I'm having the problem with my C13. I think the oil cooler's going on it because my oil temperature wants to run even if I'm just, but sometimes I bring the truck home and I just bobtail home, on my day off or whatever. And my oil temperature wants to run at 200. And just the other night when I brought it home, it kept going up. My coolant temperature's fine. It wants to run at about 170, 175. But every time my coolant or my oil temperature goes way up, my coolant temperature starts crawling like crazy. And actually, the other night, the thing shut off on me. I did order a new oil cooler for it. I ordered the PDI oil cooler. And I didn't know, when I take that thing apart, is there anything else you guys would recommend looking at?
Well, my first thought is it's most likely not the oil cooler, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It certainly could be, right? But it's pretty rare. I just kind of have to look back across all the engines that I've cracked open over the years. Like last year we did 210 engines, and you kind of amplify that across 14 years, right? It's a shit ton of engines that I've been into, and a lot of them, a hell of a lot of them were cats, but they all operate kind of the same. It's pretty rare to have a oil cooler that is so plugged up that it causes a problem like that. And if you're not having an oil cooler failure, otherwise you'd be putting oil in the coolant, or when you shut it off, you'd be getting coolant in the oil, right? And if neither of those things are happening, then the only way the oil cooler could be your problem is if it was plugged up, which again is pretty unlikely, and it's going to be plugged up most likely on the coolant side, not on the oil side, because coolant can get all kinds of shit in it and this and that, and your oil kind of can't, so because the oil is being filtered all the time. But most of the time,
So that's
I'm going to tell you what I think it is, okay? And it doesn't mean it's not the oil cooler. I'm just going to tell you what I think. And what I think it most likely is when your oil is climbing dramatically faster than your coolant it's most likely caused by an excessive amount of combustion gas going down into the crankcase at 2,000 degrees, and the oil is getting hot as fuck. And that's actually what's going on. And the coolant can't keep up.
okay.
I know nobody wants to hear that, but
that's kind of the right, because that's kind of the craziest thing. I checked for blow by, and I mean it's got a little bit of blow by, but the thing was, I don't have any paperwork to prove it, but I just bought this truck, and the guy said it was rebuilt like 40,000 miles ago.
Sure, but
obviously I can see that.
My question would be is how much oil are you using in your, how long do you go before you change the oil? 10, 12, 15? What are we doing here?
I like to change it every 3 weeks because in the oil field we haul sandboxes, so we're always loaded.
Yep, and I would do it by time in the oil field as well when I was in North Dakota rather than by mileage. So I get where you're coming from there. How much oil are you having to add to it before you get to the point where you change it? To keep it full, how much makeup oil are we putting in this thing?
So on the C13, I haven't even had a chance to really work it because I've been having this problem all along.
Okay,
I haven't even and another thing I wanted to mention was the other thing I wanted to mention to you was, so I brought this truck after I started having those issues. I brought this truck home. I drained the oil out of it. The oil, so I know the guy didn't change his oil for shit like he said he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I drained the coolant out. He had straight water in the freaking truck instead of coolant.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So I flushed the whole So I flushed the whole cooling system. You should have seen the coolant coming out. There's nothing but rust, water, and brown flakes.
I have seen that coolant many times in my life, so I know exactly what it looked like. So let me give you a suggestion, man. Go to Amazon, look up Under My Hood, order one of those. They're incredibly cheap. It all comes as one unit. Pull an oil sample when you're getting ready to change it, send it out, and just see what they say. And it's highly likely they're going to say you have all kinds of contaminants going on, and it's probably because that thing actually needs a re-ring or something like that. I'm not telling you not to change your oil cooler, but I have a feeling the oil cooler is not going to fix your problem.
Okay. So if I change the oil cooler and that doesn't fix my problem, I should tear into it some more, see what I find.
Well, you don't necessarily.
You're saying it's probably rings or.
I would take that oil sample anyway. Why not? It's like $20.
Yeah, oil samples don't. They're a can of pop, compared to.
Sure.
Yep.
Anyway, brother,
Yeah.
good luck. Okay.
All right. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good night. It's crazy to me how often oil coolers get changed to try to fix a symptom and how often it doesn't actually help anything. This is a guy that wasn't there last time. Hack Nation Live, you hung on. You there? Marvin, come on now. All right. Well, I'm just going to drop him that time. We'll go to the next guy here.
Yeah, one more calling me.
Hello, Hack Nation Live.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Joe Albert from Pennsylvania.
Yes.
I have a C15 converted to single turbo, and it's tuned. I don't know much about it. It's a truck I'm working on, and when it's cold, it runs great. When it warms up, I'm running around the block a little bit. It'll warm up. It starts carrying on, backfiring, almost like a bad injector, smoking white. I'm just kind of looking for a direction to go.
Sounds like Aaron's favorite.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I guess
And
I'm
I'm
not understanding what it's doing. It runs fine when you first start it.
When you first start it until it warms, it's fine. And you do a cylinder cutout test. All the cylinders cut out. Once it warms up, the operating temperature, it goes up to about 170. It won't get any hotter than that. It starts almost like a bad injector. And if I do a cutout test on number 6, nothing changes. So I changed number 6 injector, and it had a solenoid code for number 6 also. So I changed the number 6 injector, and it's still doing it. It'll smoke white.
It's
if you build.
It's the wiring harness.
Okay, yeah, because if you build boost,
when it's getting hot, the wiring harness is it becomes flaccid, so to speak, and that's where you're picking up your problem from. If you're getting a code, which you're showing solenoid problem.
No,
right?
you still have the code after you change the injector?
It's still doing it. Yep.
The only thing I didn't have the code since I changed the injector.
Okay.
But it's still doing this same problem. And like I said, when
you still have a dead
it runs
hole.
great.
You still have a dead hole in number 6 though?
When it's warm, yeah.
Yeah, that's the wiring harness, brother.
Yeah.
It was the wiring harness from the get, most likely.
Just the one under the valve cover?
Yes, sir.
Your internal harness.
So
Okay.
I have a policy here when we're getting a solenoid code. We'll go after the harness first because it's 90% of the time it's the harness and not the injector.
And then on boost, it'll run great.
I understand, but that's because once you're hammered down, the other 5 cylinders are running so efficiently. It seems like the problem goes away.
Okay.
Masking the problem.
Well, that's all right. Well, I'll have to check there.
All right, brother, man. Well, good
I
luck.
definitely-
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. Well, it involves effort, son. And I don't have the effort. Okay, so I'm going to try and burn through these calls again. Again, guys, if you're watching on TikTok and you want to hear the caller's audio, you have to go watch this on Facebook or YouTube. TikTok does not allow us to put the caller audio in there. At least we've never figured out how to do it. Hack Nation Live, you're on the air.
Ariel.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Bradley. I'm up here in Tennessee. Got a question for you on a 2007 Peterbilt with a 6NZ kit.
Go ahead.
The motor is fairly new. It's got about 19,000 miles on it. It was a stock rebuild from the bottom end, from crank, oil pan to valve cover. And the rebuild's got 19,000 miles on it. And it was set at 435.
Yep.
It's a 6NZ, set at 435. We put it in the truck. It had a C15 Acer in it, threw a rod out the side of the block. So we put this 6NZ in it, and we put a stock 550 file in it. The problem we're having is running hot on the EGTs. It was before we turned it to a 550. It was still wanting to heat up on the EGTs. It wasn't uncommon for it to run, 1,000 degrees or a little more. And then, of course, we turned it to a 550, and now, it'll run 1,000 anywhere from normally 900 to 1,100. If you really want to push it, you can get it to 1,200 degrees, 1,300 degrees if you really want to push it. But the turbo is stock on it. It's got stock manifold, stock turbo. The turbo is a 0.69 housing.
So
what would you recommend on upgrading on the turbo?
So this engine you said had been rebuilt, right?
Yes, it's got fresh rebuild on it.
Okay, so who rebuilt it?
It's a mechanic here in my local town that we have rebuild the motors.
Okay, and so did he just use that engine serial number to pull the to get the parts list?
Probably so, if I had to guess. He had it in one of his trucks, and then that truck, something happened to it. He pulled the motor, and then when the C15 Acer went out, then we bought the motor from him. He went through it again and redone everything and built it back to a stock motor.
Okay, so a 435 Caterpillar engine. If you want to change it to a 550 or even a 500 or even a 475, it takes a different piston crown, it takes different injectors, and it takes a different turbo. That's why it's getting so hot. You're gonna have to roll her back.
Okay, I do know that the injectors are for a 550 cat. Now the pistons, I'm not 100% sure on. I don't know if he went back with a 550 rebuild kit or if he went back with a 435 rebuild kit.
And I'm almost 99% sure that it does have a different piston crown. I rebuild so many engines and we change so many CPLs and stuff that, I could be wrong, of course, but I'm almost positive that's a different piston crown. And that's why you run a different injector and so on. But I know for a damn fact that turbo is way too small. I would check.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
So here's what I would suggest, man. I would give Highway Head and Heavy Parts a call tomorrow and give them your engine serial number and ask them if you have to change your piston crowns if you want to go to a 550. They'll know the answer to that. And if they say yes, you already know what you have to do. If they say no, you're fine, then you definitely need a bigger turbo. That turbo is not big enough. I know that for a fact, that you have to have a 600 horsepower capable turbo on that engine. That's why your EGTs are getting so hot. But you want to make goddamn sure that you're not going to make a massive problem by getting it to run like you want it to. And it's not going to last you very long because your compression's not right or your spray pattern's not right versus the bowl that you have in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just for the sake of being on the phone with you, what would you recommend on a turbo? I know I'd heard you speaking to another gentleman earlier that you was coming out with a 78 millimeter turbo, but what would you recommend as far as turbo size, exhaust housing, and all that?
Well, I mean, so you don't need to go out and buy a performance quick spool billet turbo, like I'm going to come out with, and we're actually taking it one step farther and going to do something even cooler that I'm not going to tell anyone yet, right? Because I don't want anybody to copy me until we drop it. I'm going to do something super unique. But anyway, you don't need that, man. Again, call Highway and Heavy Parts when you're on the phone with them. Ask them about a good Garrett turbo for that thing, right? They have every brand, but Garrett's going to be your best price point coupled with one of your best warranties. I'm a Garrett dealer as well. Because they don't fuck around on their warranty if they have a problem, and that matters more to me than pretty much anything, because all turbos can have a problem, but they're going to be able to sell you a turbo for $900, $1,100. That's going to do exactly what you want it to do, and you don't got to break the bank.
Okay. All right. Cool deal.
All right, bro.
Well, that was my question.
All right. You have a good night, man.
I appreciate it, pal. Y'all be careful.
You too. All right, so we have 6 people left in the queue. I'm not going to take any more callers. If you call, I'm probably not going to take your call, because if I leave it where it's at, then we'll get to everyone by 9 o'clock, and I have a family too. Again, if you are watching on TikTok, we encourage you to go over to Facebook or YouTube to watch this so you can hear the caller. This is Hack Nation Live. I'm your host, Aaron. We're going to go ahead and get right into it. We got a North Dakota number here. You're on Hack Nation Live. How can we help you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. What can we do for you?
So I got a 2007 W900 with a C15 MXS, and it's set at 475, and I'm wondering what I can safely turn it up to 550 and nothing more.
Yep, that's it. Turn it up to 550 and rock the party. It won't hurt anything at all.
Risk anything turning it up to 550?
I said you can turn it up to 550 without any. You don't have to change anything.
I'm not risking anything.
I'm getting horrible feedback from you there, brother.
Oh, maybe
there we go.
Speaker.
There we go. Yep.
That sounds better. All right, sorry about that.
Your 475 Acer can be turned up to a 550 without changing any internal components or external components. It won't hurt anything at all. And you'll get back, actually, depending on what you're doing there, you're going to get better fuel mileage and everything's going to be better.
That's kind of my main thing. I'm hauling, run side dump out, doing Joe cuttings out here in the Bakken.
Yep. It's going to, you're going to be doing
getting 3.5, 4, and
it'll get a little better.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, I guess another question I had is, I've had a lot of wiring problems, and I'm wondering, like with my ABS, it's been about once a year my ABS will, I'll have major ABS problems, and I wonder, is it worth just completely paying somebody to just completely redo my entire ABS wiring harness, or to just keep fixing shorts that keep coming up in it? And the truck's got 1.5 million miles on it.
I mean, if it was me, I would just keep, fixing shorts.
Just keep fixing it.
You have Mud Monkey right there local. That guy is a whiz with that kind of stuff, man. I'd go see him if it was.
Where's he out of?
He's
out of Williston,
no, he's out of what's that place that man, why am I having a brain fart? I lived in North Dakota for so long. You go past
Yeah.
Newtown and keep going out, and not towards Williston, but the other way.
Partial.
No, other direction there.
I know what town you're thinking of too, and I'm parting on it too.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Straight south of Beulah, there, right at that intersection there. But
yeah,
that little town.
Yeah.
I might have to look. I'll look them up.
Yeah.
I've been using the same mechanic here in Williston, and he's been good for a lot of things. But it's like the last time I brought the truck in to get ABS fixed, and
jump on.
It went, and actually my ABS is shorting out so bad right now, it kills the motor. Like I had to pull my ABS fuse because it would short out my ignition switch.
Yeah,
because it was drawing so many amps in through.
The guy you need to find is Mud Monkey. Find him on TikTok. He's there in man, it was on the tip of my tongue. He's right there. He's right down the road from you. Find him on TikTok. He's got 700-something thousand followers. Mud Monkey.
All right, I'll do that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
All right.
Yeah, that whole emissions, ABS stuff. I have the programming to diagnose all that stuff, but man, I just tell guys, I don't work on that crap. I used to work on my own, but no, thank you. Hack Nation Live, man. What can I do for you?
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Been watching you guys for a long time. I've got a C15 Cat in a 94 Peterbilt. We just swapped a mechanical Cat out of it. Built it in shop. I've done a few of them just because I'm poor.
Me too, brother.
Got 20,000 miles on it. Right. It's got 20,000 miles on the overhaul now, or complete out of frame. I bought it out of a dump truck, so it is like a 3 6-inch. I've had really good luck with it. Besides, I can't quite pin it down, and I'm not any expert by any means, but when it's cold, you start it up and it just sounds fantastic. It sounds like a sewing machine. You know how a cat sounds, it just purrs, and everything's great. When you get it warm, it's got power. It doesn't smoke. No excess smoke. Little touch of black smoke when you're under the turbo. It seems like it has. I wouldn't really describe it as a miss, but it's almost like one of the holes isn't contributing as well, like as good as the rest at like operating temperature. And I noticed it more prominently around like the probably 750 to 1,000 RPM range.
Does it do it if you're using the cruise control?
Yes.
Okay. So we can eliminate the throttle position sensor as being the problem, is why I asked.
Okay.
Hang on. Let me ask you a few questions, man. I want to try and figure out your problem.
Sure.
Do you have a hard time? Does it have a hard time starting?
Nope. It fires right up.
Okay. So
it does.
So we can eliminate the
kind of weird, like.
But you got to understand, man. I'm trying to help all the viewers as well. Okay. So let me do my spiel here.
For sure.
We can eliminate that. Okay. It is the your injector rifle. We're not losing pressure there, because if it was bleeding off, it'd be really hard to start. And then my suggestion would be your return and supply line check valves. Okay, so we can eliminate those. So we have narrowed it down to we have an injector problem. Okay. And if we have an injector problem, we have to figure out, are we dealing with an electrical or a mechanical problem? Are you throwing any codes?
No.
Have you done an injector cutout?
No check engine light, at least.
That's what a code is. And so you have done it, and you have done injector cutout tests, and what does it tell you? They all come back okay?
Yep. When we first, I took it to the tuner, had him check everything out, and that's the only thing I couldn't do. I don't have a computer, and he did a cutout test, and tuned the engine. It's got like a soft 600 tune on it.
There's no such thing.
And
but
he
sure.
said everything was good.
What?
I don't know. Whatever he said, that's what he said.
Right.
So whatever cat tune that is, but
well, probably something he monkeyed with, I'd guess. But a soft 600 tune means that he has a 550 tune that he's put massive fuel numbers in. Bet you $100. Anyhow, neither here nor there on that one.
Okay.
If you have no code,
did not replace the injectors.
Right. So my next question is: was he using Cat ET, or did he have like some stupid Snap-on shit? It's some kind of Snap-on tool or something like that. What kind of? I mean, was he using like a pirated software that is actual Cat software when he was doing that injector cutout test? And when it was all said and done, it said okay.
Yeah, it was Cat software.
Okay.
To my knowledge, it wasn't Snap-on or anything else. I'll tell you that when he put the trim codes in the injectors, one of them was an odd number that he hadn't seen before, and he put some kind of number in there that he thought would work. I didn't know if that could be a contributing problem. And one more thing I'll say, Aaron, is one of the injectors, when I put the engine together, and like I mentioned, these injectors were the injectors that came with this engine, the core.
Mm-hmm.
I broke a solenoid stud off one of the injectors, and I didn't know if you could replace them or not. Cat wouldn't sell me the parts to just replace the solenoid, so I just bought an injector. So it does have one brand new one.
Sure.
So I don't know if that would make a difference, but
no, it shouldn't. And Cat doesn't sell them because they don't have them, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, and you're not the first guy to break them. Right? I don't think I have an employee that hasn't broke one. And,
Sure.
And I know a guy that looks just like me that's broke them several times, right? So don't feel don't feel bad about that. But most likely what you have going on is a mechanical issue, right? So one of these injectors probably internally is effed up. They have an O-ring stack inside of them. And those O-rings, multiple times in my life, I have found O-ring pushing out, literally pushing out of the metal, like somebody tried to stuff an O-ring in there and put the injector back together. You know what I mean? They didn't quite get everything lined up, and they'll do it to themselves. And so you'll end up with this mechanical problem that you just can't narrow it down. But you usually can find something like that in an injector cutout test. Unfortunately, when you got a problem like this one where you can't isolate it, it usually comes down to throw money at it until you figure it out. And if that's where you're at with it, I highly recommend you start with harnesses first. Don't end with those. Change the injectors last. I would just kind of throw. The other thing is your check valves could be bad. And when they're under high pressure, when the engine's running, they could be bleeding off really bad. So I would start by throwing your return line and check line valve at it. If you were a customer here and we were having this problem, and we agreed we were just going to do whatever it took to figure it out, I would start with the return and supply line check valves are like $40 each. Then I would go to your injector harnesses, are $170 each. And then we would see, if we haven't had the problem fixed by then we would go after maybe trying to change the injectors, but I would do them last.
So probably injectors last. I will say I put every, like the harness, the engine harness, and then like the sensor harness, and then the injector harness is all brand new.
Yep.
When I built it. I don't think I replaced the check valves. Are those on the filter housing?
They're on the filter housing where your fuel line comes out of the back of the cylinder head and it goes into the filter housing, the one that is exactly on the opposite, the opposite side of where your fuel line comes in and be on the bottom of it. That is your return line check valve. And then on the exact same side there, you just go in about 2 or inch and a half, and your supply line check valve is a bolt that goes in from the side.
Okay, so there's a supply and a return check valve to replace.
They're both on the right-hand side of the filter housing. Don't be fucking around with any of the ones on the left-hand side.
Okay. One last thing, and I'll get out of your hair. and that wasn't a joke.
I don't have any hair.
I know. I didn't mean to.
You're
I
good,
said
brother.
that.
You're good.
Could it be timing? Could I have messed up the timing? 'Cause like I said, I mean, I'm a rookie. I've built 3 of my own engines in my trucks, just honestly from watching your videos and shit. And I went to school for a little while, but you know, could it be timing?
Does it
related?
does it come and go? Or is it
No.
all the time?
It is very consistent.
Oh.
It's very consistent.
Okay, you bet it can be. You bet your ass. For some reason, I thought this problem comes and goes.
Okay. My bad.
Pretty easy to figure that out though. Bar the engine over, pin it, take the peanut cover off, and sight down that thing and see if you're exactly straight up and down. If you're not, then you're not in time.
Is there a way to do that more accurately? Like,
No.
do you use a ruler?
No. You
just got to eyeball it.
You got to eyeball it, but you can tell, man. You can tell. You know, and if it looks like it's a little bit off, it's because it is. Right? And you reset that timing with the gear that is right underneath it, that idler gear right underneath it. You don't have to take the engine apart or any nonsense like that. The other thing is if it is in time and it's still doing this, you might need to time the cam sensor to the ECM, and that requires special tooling, which, I mean, I obviously have the tooling, but it's a probe that goes into the front of the engine. There's a special little port that's on all the cats, and you shove it into that slot, and it actually goes up and reads the front cam lobe, and it tells the ECM exactly when it's supposed to be in time, and then so you're timing the ECM to the crank, and we've had to do that. I have had problems identical to the ones you're having, that is what needed to be done.
Okay.
That is very unlikely that that's what needs to be done, but it's not impossible. All right, brother, man. I gotta get to these last people here. They've all been waiting forever. I do appreciate you were on hold for 59 minutes, man. You're my hero. I appreciate you holding on, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate everything, you guys. You guys are awesome. So thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you, sir. You have a good day and good luck, man, for sure.
I'm kind of breaking up with you, but hey, I'll let you go. I appreciate you, man.
Well, at least you and my old lady have something in common. All right, Hack Nation Live. How can we help you? I'm kidding. My old lady loves me.
Hello?
Yes, sir. You're on air.
Hello?
You're on the air. How can we help you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely, brother man.
Hello?
What can we do for you?
So I bought a 2008, it was municipal owned dump truck with a 7.6 liter MaxxForce in it. And the truck has 80,000 miles on it. It's been in and out of the shop a million times. I've been around engines and stuff for many years. I've rebuilt quite a few and worked on lots. But the problem that I keep seeing, because I got the maintenance files, and that's what happened this time again, the EGR coolers are an issue with this truck. So what I'm wondering, would it be best to delete all that shit off there?
So that's a question I'm sure you can understand that I cannot answer on here.
Okay. No, I understand. Yeah.
For the obvious reasons. What I can and what I will say is that as the MaxxForce in particular, most of the ones I've seen that still run and operate down the road are pretty naked.
Yeah.
So that's about all I got to say.
So
all I can say about that.
So the last time they brought it to the international dealer. They took the head off, sent that in, and this was like the engine had been rebuilt like 3 times in this 80,000 miles. And they come back, the head tested out good, everything tested out good, no head gasket issues. And they had coolant in the oil. Then they come back with replace the EGR coolers. The place I bought it from said, put it back together. We're just going to buy a new truck. Since then, I have bought another truck for parts. Is it worth taking the parts off the truck I bought for parts, or swap the engine to one that runs?
I would probably swap the engine. Most of the time, I would say the other way, but y- you know, if you're not taking it back to international, ain't nobody else going to work on that damn thing, right? So you're running too high of a risk. If you have a, you know, if you have a good running engine and you have a problematic engine, it kind of, you know, one that's been rebuilt 3 times at 80,000 miles is still having problems. I think the answer is pretty clear.
Before I got $80,000. I got receipts worth of $80,000 with the rebuilds and trips to the dealership for this EGR and the regen system on it.
Yeah. And again, there's not a whole lot I can comment on all that.
So,
you know,
another question that I
other
had.
than to tell you, do whatever it takes to keep it intact.
Yep. Now, my next question is, so I bought a diesel scanner laptop with JPro and stuff on there. Will I be able, is that something good or no?
I mean, JPro has, I have JPro as well, right? And it's because I use JPro for other things. But, you know, as a diesel diagnostic tool, JPro is like a basic bitch, right? And it just doesn't do a good job. But it is a hell of a lot better than having nothing if that's all you have.
Well, exactly. That's kind of why I used to own a mobile equipment repair business, and I got out of it when everything started going more towards DEF and DPF and all that shit. I got out because it just wasn't worth it for me to do it anymore. It's plain and simple.
Yep. No, it's a pain in the ass, man, for sure. You should have learned your lesson.
All right. Well, thank you.
Trucks. I'm just kidding. All right, man. You have a good night. Sorry I couldn't help you more.
Yep. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye. You know, that DEF shit, you just, what do you tell guys? You know, I mean, you know, and I tell guys they should leave it on. And I don't mean DEF, I just mean emission stuff. And I tell guys they should leave it on because if they don't, they decrease the longevity of the engine. But Jesus Christ, you deal with so much fucking shit. You know, you have an engine that won't run. You know, and I understand why guys delete them. And I'm a big advocate of not deleting them. And it's not, you know, because I'm scared of the EPA and all this other fucking nonsense. It's because, you know, you're increasing the internal temperatures 20% and this and that, and it wreaks havoc on them. But I understand why guys do it for sure. Hack Nation Live, we got 4 more callers. You're on the air.
Quick question. Where is the best place to find a service manual and a overhaul manual for CAT?
eBay.
Really?
Yep. You want to,
Okay.
and you said the right nomenclature. You want the service manual, and you'll find what you're looking for.
Okay. All right. So the difference between a service manual and an overhaul manual, it's pretty much the same.
There isn't any difference, but you'd be saying the wrong thing and wouldn't find what you're looking for. It's a service manual. That's what you want to put into eBay. Okay. You're looking for 3406E service manual. I shouldn't tell everyone that because I'm not going to find the ones I need anymore if I keep telling everyone that. But that's, you know, that's the place to go for sure. The other thing you can do, you know, here's the bitch of it, right? So let's say you wanted to get an official CAT service manual, which you can get from eBay, but you wanted to just like go get one from CAT. That's harder than you think, right? They won't give you one, right? So like, for me, I have a lot of brand new manuals, but that's because I have such an awesome relationship with places like Peter, you know, our local Peterbilt and stuff like that. And those guys secure them for me. You know what I mean? But it's a hell of a lot more expensive to go that route than it is to go through eBay. You know, I can buy a good service manual for $300 or $400 from there. That's going to cost me $1,200, $1,400 directly from CAT. So that's the place to go, brother. You'll find what you're looking for.
So same thing for like 12.7 Detroit too.
Damn straight, brother.
Okay.
eBay's
That's
the place
all I got
to go.
today, Aaron.
All right, man. Love you long time. I appreciate the call, man. You hung on for an hour and 1 minute. You were my new hero.
I did. I follow y'all so much, you and your son.
Sure. Well, I hope it was worth it, man. I hope I pointed you in the right direction.
Oh, it is. So. It was. Thank you, bud.
Yes, sir. Have a good night and good luck, okay?
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we got 3 more callers. You guys hang on. I'll get to all 3 of you, and we're going to call her a show, and we might get out of here by 9 o'clock. I doubt it, but we'll see what happens. Again, if you're watching on TikTok, go watch this damn thing on Facebook so you can hear the callers. What? What's not working? Oh my God. It says it's working on here. Trump will bring back diesel, delete them all. I don't think so, guys. All right. Hack Nation Live, man. You're on there. Let's roll. What do you got?
Hey, how y'all doing this evening?
Perfecto, man.
Good deal. Well, no troubles, but I never hear y'all say nothing about the old CM 570 Signature Series 600. I have one. Have no problems. I have a PDI turbo and PDI manifold. Just give me some of the rundowns what to watch. I'm one of these people that I like preventive maintenance.
So we've rebuilt quite a few. We've rebuilt quite a few of those. I'm very familiar with that engine. The reason I don't ever talk about that engine is because that, your Signature 600 is the unicorn of the Cummins world. Just like, everybody wants the 6NZ of the cats, right? In reality, the 6NZ is not the best engine they ever built. It just happens to be where it landed in its timeline. Where it landed in its timeline according to the EPA, right? So that's why it became mythical status, is because they were, the latter half of 99, there's about 500 6NZs that were built that's the actual unicorn, and that aura extended to all 6NZs. You have that same status going on with your Signature 600, because the Signature 600s came out and they just had an EGR, and they were pretty unproblematic and this and that. But it's still an ISX. It still has the same problems. It still drops liners. It's still an inherently shitty design. It still has, it still eats up the camshafts and all the lobes with minimal amount of carbon stack compared to like a Detroit, can be stacked the fuck up with carbon, and your valve train will still fare decent, where you just have a little bit of carbon stack with a Signature and it tears it the fuck up, right? Were they good engines? Sure, they had good power, they have good jakes and all this other thing, but they don't deserve a mythical status over the 870, the 871, those two engines that came after them. I would much rather have.
Well, actually,
go ahead.
Actually, mine was a recon engine.
Yep.
And they took it. It's an 870 block, and they put all the Signature Series parts on it. Because I rebuilt it a couple years ago, and it had the bigger pistons.
But you're proving my point. It's the same engine, so it doesn't deserve this mythical status that it gets. It's only because it's just like the 6NZ. I'm not trying to knock your engine. I do think as far as ISXs go, I'd much rather have an 871 or an 870 than a 22 or 2350, right?
Yeah.
But
it's a little more improved by being the 870 block, I believe.
I would agree with you.
But
anyhow, that's
another thing is what do you?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Another thing is what do you think about AMSOIL oil?
Well, AMSOIL makes the best oil. Period.
That's what I'm running in from the time I rebuild. I run some break-in oil in it, and then then I run the old.
The problem with AMSOIL is their price point sucks. Right? They price everybody out of the market, right? Out of the end users is priced out of it. So, but no one can deny they have the best oil. So in my opinion, if you have an external filtration system, a bypass filtration system, and you want to take that oil out to 50, 60,000, then sure, run AMSOIL. If you're not doing that,
I'm always haul gravel and asphalt up here in West Virginia, and I'm a diehard 10,000 miles.
Then don't.
I can only bring myself to 15. I can only bring myself to 15,000.
Don't run AMSOIL. You're wasting your money.
Yeah.
You can run any good synthetic like a Rotella T6 or something like that for vastly cheaper, and you're going to get the same performance out of it in that kind of mileage. No doubt about it.
Cool things. And there's one part I'm looking for. Maybe you can help me find. When I rebuilt it, Cummins rebuilt it. they changed the oil thermostat and went from, like, it never went over 195, and now it was 230, but I could only find one that was 215 thermostat.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
Can I find a? Okay. Well, the highest I see is like 225 is all I see. But I'm one of these people. I believe in cooler better. Like I said, I went to the PDI manifold and the Big Boss turbo, and just everything. I mean,
you are
you
correct.
Crowded. It won't go overnight.
When you say cooler better, you are correct when you're talking about your intake and exhaust temperatures. But when you're talking about your coolant and your oil temperatures, cooler isn't necessarily better. Okay, especially on your oil.
Well, I understand they're saying that's supposed to keep it cleaner, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. And that you're right. I mean, you're trying to cure a problem where no problem exists.
Yeah, I understand. I'm one of these people. I'm not the typical truck driver or typical owner operator here. I just seem to spend the extra money now as have to spend a big bunch of money later down the road.
I'm with you, 100%. But there's no problem there.
Okay, that's just what I was wondering. I mean, they told me, but I wanted something other than a Cummins rip telling me that somebody that's run trucks, rebuilds trucks, knows what's going on.
I mean, I used to own quite a few trucks with hydrostatic retarders. You want to see oil get fucking hot? Go bomb off the top of Adigan Pass, holding back 113,000 with a retarder, just smoking down the hill. You want to see your oil climb, buddy? I have seen oil get smoking hot and the engine not fail, right? Because the engine knows when to turn the fan on. You know, your fan doesn't only come on for coolant, guys. It comes on for oil. It will come on for air. And a lot of people don't realize how often their fan's coming on just to cool the intake air, and it has nothing to do with your coolant. Right. So the ECM knows what the hell's going on. Let it do its job and just run that thing and go make some money.
Exactly. Well, I'm hoping whatever you're working on your rebuild kit, maybe next time you will have a rebuild kit for me.
So
I'm preventing maintenance.
We're dropping cat first, right? So the cat product's our first kit is going to be, cover your E models all the way up to your A-certs. And then immediately we're going to fill out the cat line. So in other words, right after the kit drops, and we've already developed quite a bit of it. We already have an oil pump. We already have a water pump, and I'm so fucking sick of warranty and water pumps that was like a big one for me. Is that we're building a water pump that I'm not going to have to fucking warranty every week. You know what I mean? I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Exactly. And cats are so terrible. They tell you, oh, well, there's so much that can leak before we'll warranty it. Like, what? It's brand new out of the box and it's pouring fucking coolant out of it, you jackasses. But
exactly.
So, but we are going to immediately fill out the cat line, and we're hoping to do it in 90 days because everything's already in development. And then once the cat line's done, we are immediately going to drop Cummins behind it because we're already developing the Cummins, obviously. And then obviously Detroit will be after that. So by the end of 2025, we hope to have all the big three products. It's not just having a kit; it's having the product line filled out. I want to be able to give you your oil cooler, oil pump, water pump, dampener, your pin and rollers, your camshafts and all that. And we have some pretty cool stuff in development right now too for some performance cams, manifolds, and this turbo that we're coming out with. And we're going to do some stuff that people have never seen before. Nobody's ever even thought of. So and a lot of that is not just coming from me. A lot of that is coming from the owners of HHP. I mean, I couldn't have found better guys that are just like, if you put a vision out there, they just get behind it, and they just. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that I didn't I got solicited by some big players, man, that were trying to do some branding deals with me, and I'm talking big players. I just, I know better than to say any names, but I'm so happy that I didn't just like sign deals with these guys, and we're taking this route instead because this is a product that is ours. And it's going to be the coolest shit.
Yeah. because it's coming from a mechanic, a driver, a owner. You've been there, you've done it all. You know what the improvements needs to be, and piecing each part instead of buying different parts for 20 different parts from 20 different places. You can buy it all in one kit, and that'll be great.
Yep. And I also bought a Rockwell hardness machine, testing machine here, because the very last minute before people get them, even though I have independent places testing them, I'm still going to continue to check them. I'm going to do my own quality control in-house. It's awesome.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
brother,
great.
man, I got 2 more callers.
We appreciate you out here in the trucking world, and enjoy everything you do. Y'all have a great evening.
Yes, sir. And good luck out there, man. You have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think nothing annoys me more than when I make videos and I try to, be informative and try and tell guys how to extend the life of their engine and all that, and especially on Facebook. And you get all these people, oh, he's trying to get you to fuck your shit up. I mean, come look at my parking lot. There's 68 freaking trucks waiting on me at all times. I don't need to fuck your shit up so I get an extra engine. I promise you that. I don't care about fucking your shit up. So you'll bring me one more truck. Our biggest problem is we're so far out that people can't wait for us and they have to go other places. Seriously. So, for all my detractors that try to say some weird shit that I want to harm you, that doesn't benefit me at all. At all. Hack Nation Live, you're on the air, brother.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, I had a question. It was more. Oh.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Question was more pertaining to actually Bennett Truck Center. I see all these crazy deals that they have on differentials and transmissions, and I mean, you guys got crazy warranty and crazy prices, and you're saying that they're genuine parts. I guess the question is, how are you guys able to offer such a good deal on genuine OEM parts when you've never seen that anywhere else? I mean, are you guys working with the OEM suppliers, or
yes,
or how are you able to secure such a great deal and such a great warranty when nobody else does it?
So
just makes the guy skeptical because you've never seen it before.
Yeah, of course. I've dealt with that since the day we started. That's why everybody called me Hack, right? Because they couldn't believe that I could provide a service and all of that for what I was doing it for. So they had to call me a hack to justify their shitty business practice, right? And so I ultimately embraced that and made that my brand. My kits are going to say Hack fucking Nation on them, right? That's how much I care about my detractors, okay? Yep. I love them. So what my sons did is they understand the power of being an influencer, and they own a media company, right? That's recognized in the industry as being the biggest media company that caters to social media that is out there right now. So they're able to wield a lot of influence, a lot of sway. But you guys have to realize that also extends to these big companies, right? And so they were able to get it. This is kind of like what I did, right? I got my idea. So if I didn't have my sons, if my sons didn't exist, I would probably be releasing a product here pretty soon that is just somebody's rebranded shit, right? But I watched my sons, who already have 18,000 SKUs, right? I got to watch them come up with their own product line, and and so they just demanded certain things. They wanted genuine Weller, they wanted genuine Eaton, and they wanted a 3-year warranty that was no bullshit. And they just demanded it, and they got it. And that's just the way we roll, man. If we got it, we're going to give it to everybody else. And they have free shipping nationwide. And, my son did I think he did $186,000 in differential sales the first 3 days. Right. So
yeah, no, I'd seen that deal and I was like, that's absolutely crazy. It's almost worth buying it, even if you don't need it, because it's cheap insurance. You're going to get raked over the coals at any other shop.
Yeah, but we're not going anywhere, brother. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah. I appreciate what you guys are doing, and it's wonderful as a father of my own to see a kid working with his father and building something, and you guys working together. I mean, absolutely amazing, and they look like they're doing extremely successful, and looks like you support
Yeah,
them
I'm trying to copy
in
them.
every
The
way.
little fuckers are outpacing me, so I got to like mimic them, you know. So, no, I'm very proud of them, and I appreciate your kind words. But here's the thing, man. Here, and I'm just going to give you a little case scenario, okay? I've gotten a lot of grief for our pricing in the past, but here's the thing: if an in-frame kit costs $2,800, right after my markup, how the fuck am I going to justify selling it to you for $10,000, which is that's really where shops get you. If you really break, and you got to imagine that I see a lot of other shops invoices, like a shit ton. People always want to bring them to me.
Yeah.
In the reoccurring pattern I see is that it's not that the labor is so far inflated. It's that they fuck you guys on the parts because everybody figures out that you won't fight them on the parts because in your mind, it has to go into the truck. Right. And I'll give you an example of one of the most ridiculous ones I ever saw in my entire life was only like 2 weeks ago. And a guy had work done on his N14. He brought it to me to do some other stuff. And he asked me to look at his bill. And they charged him $2,000 for his oil cooler. And the oil cooler is only $189.
Holy cow.
I mean, what the fuck? Right. Well, I looked at the labor quote, and the labor quote almost mirrored what my labor quote would have been for that job. So that's not where they fucked him, right? And then the other way that everybody gets fucked in this industry is, and I do something totally different here to make sure it doesn't happen, is, you bring it there and they tell you it's going to be $2,000 to do X job. And then when you come pick it up, it's $5,000. And it's go fuck yourself if you want your truck. If you want your truck back, go fuck yourself and pay the bill, right? And I have a plan. I'm not just trying to come out with a better product. I'm going to change that. I'm going to change that part of the industry. If you want an you want a no questions asked warranty, you want our equity firms to back up your company and finance every single person that walks through your door. You want us to feature you on our website as our preferred dealers. Guess what? You're not going to get to do. You're not going to get to fuck people over because we're not going to put up with it. I don't care if I only have 5 dealers in the whole nation buying my shit. They're going to be the busiest 5 people in the nation, right? And I'm okay with that.
Right. No, I come from selling automotive parts to selling heavy duty parts to driving a truck to owning trucks.
Yep.
And it's automotive side, they never question warranty. You get into heavy truck side, well, they might warranty it, but you're going to buy the part twice and they'll let you know if they're going to warranty it. They never stand behind it. The warranty's junk. On the heavy truck side, it seems like half the time. That's crazy. I mean,
let me give you the most
amazing
gut-wrenching statistic you're probably going to hear all week, okay? In the aftermarket industry, not OEM, in the aftermarket industry, your odds of getting your warranty claim honored are between 3 and 5%. You know how I know? Because we went and did the research before I shot my mouth off. 3 and 5%. And you have a vastly higher chance of getting your warranty honored than if you were making an OEM claim. So the odds of you actually, so everybody's always worried about a 2-year warranty and when I told everybody I was going to come out with a warranty that's going to change the industry, all kinds of people were commenting, he's going to announce a 5-year warranty. That's not what this industry needs. It doesn't need a fucking 5-year warranty because your 2-year warranty doesn't get honored. Right? That's not the problem. And in my experience with aftermarket has been much more pleasant, and most people's is that uses highway and heavy parts. But I realized after I looked at the statistics of actual honored warranties that's because highway and heavy parts is an honorable company. Their slogan is America's most trusted engine parts supplier. Well, they got that reputation because they've been paying out fucking warranties year after year after year that they're not getting their money back from the OEM dealers, parts suppliers or the aftermarket parts suppliers. The buck's stopping with them, and I never realized that. Right? Oh, in aftermarket, you do have a better warranty, a better odds of getting a warranty, but it's 3 and 5%. That's I mean, you might
Right,
as well just
right.
say it's not going to happen, right? Because it's not going to happen.
Right, exactly.
So highway
Gotcha.
highway and heavy parts was able to, my experience with aftermarket has been exclusively through highway and heavy parts. So my view on it has been skewed this whole time. It's not actually like that, right? And in my opinion, I would never buy from anyone else just for that reason. But I am so proud to be partnered with them. Their slogan basically matches ours. America's most trusted mechanic. They're America's most trusted parts supplier. We've partnered up. We're going to fucking change everything for everybody.
That's awesome.
I firmly
the second
believe
question I had is
hit me with it.
I heard you talking about Garrett turbos earlier. There's a guy called in. He was having high EGT problems, whatnot. And you brought up Garrett. I guess I haven't heard Garrett mentioned a whole lot in the big truck side as much as I've heard Bog and Warner, and I was just curious why you pushed more towards a Garrett turbo.
Because they make a really good turbo. They make a really good turbo for the best price point. I carry Borg Warner, I carry Bully Dog, I carry PDI. Like, I'm a dealer for all these people, right? But I put more Garrett turbos on people's shit than anything else because I'm always trying to look out for my customer's bottom line at all times, right? I mean, why wouldn't I? Why
price
not?
effective?
Right, of course, right? So if I can do 2 or 3 things like that, in his end bill's $4,000 less than it would have been, and I know the warranty for that is great. Right. And I know they make a decent product that I've used year after year after year. Why the fuck wouldn't I? Right. Just because some other asswipe down there, I never used the poor Garrett turbo. Fuck you. You're not the one that has to pay for it.
Right.
So
no, 100%. I've
that's all it's about, man. That's all it's about. Go ahead.
I've got a 6NZ cat. It's got a Bog and Warner 410 SX with a 78 and a 132, and I've been trying to find a spare turbo to have.
That's a bad bitch right there, boy.
Right, and it's done phenomenal for me. I mean, we got lower EGTs, we got better boost, we got better fuel mileage. It's been phenomenal, and I'd like to have one sitting because you can't just walk into a Peterbilt dealer and go, "Hey, I need this." And I've looked all over line, and you got prices from $1,600 to $6,000 for the same turbo, or somebody's saying they're selling the same turbo, and it's like,
go to Highway and Heavy Parts. That's
what do
I
you
would
buy?
Go. You go to Highway and Heavy Parts, and they won't tell you what to buy. They will tell you what you should buy based on what the information you have given them, and they're going to give you the best thing for your application. 100%. That's another thing I love about them is they don't give a shit about trying to sell you any certain thing. They just want to do whatever's the best for you, so you'll come back next time. They focus all their attention on repeat sales. Well, the only way you can get repeat sales is by not being a piece of shit, right?
Right, and treating your customer
right, and they have been recognized year on year of being the #1 parts retail seller in the United States, and there's a reason for it. But back to turbos, man. That's one of the other things that like I said, I'm so happy about being partnered with them. They have a turbo manufacturing facility that they bought out just to make this happen for us. They believe in our vision.
Oh wow.
Yep. We're gonna go. It's in our plans when we this week to try and drop in and actually tour some of that. We're hoping to tour some of it, but anyway. It's pretty exciting, man.
Awesome. I'll jump off here. Last question I got for you is I heard you talking about dropping a release video and whatnot.
Yep.
Are you pushing that across all social media platforms, or is there going to be one specific? Or
so it's gonna it's a long form. It's gonna be like watching Storm Chasers or something like that. So it's gonna be long form content. So it's mainly gonna be the best place to view. It's obviously gonna be YouTube. But my intent there is to just like get ahead of you. But we're gonna push it on every platform. But we'll put little sizzles all over everything to try and push you to YouTube to go watch it, or Facebook, right? So you are going to get exposed to it, but
Right,
if you
right.
want to watch the feature film, it's going to be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes long. We don't know yet. We got to chop it all up, and there's a lot of editing that goes into this. It's a pretty expensive process, but I got really cool guys helping me with it that are all professionals. In fact, it's the guys that did the Storm Chaser series back in the day. That's who's doing it with us. So we have actual professionals doing it with us. And what I'm trying to achieve by that is I'm getting ahead of my detractors, basically, because you already know what's going to happen, man. As soon as our product hits the ground, every fucking asswipe out there, especially my Facebook crowds, they're going to get those kits and rip them apart and do anything they can to try and tear us down. So fuck that. I'm going to show you guys how we put this together ahead of time.
100%. If everybody's got something for sale, tell me your story of how you got here. Don't just tell me to buy it. Tell me your story of how you got here and make me a believer. I'm looking forward to the video. I've watched you guys from North Dakota to Texas, and I love what you guys are doing. I was curious. I wanted to know a little bit more and hear it from the horse's mouth.
All right, brother, man. I got 2 more guys. I'm going to burn through them. We're going to call it a night. I appreciate your call, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Some guy just called in. I'll see if I can take him real quick. Depends on how long this call goes. Hack Nation Live, man. What can we do for you?
So I've got a old narrow nose Peterbilt that I bought. It's got a small cam NTC 350, and I was fixing some oil leaks. The output on the transmission was leaking, so I got that all resealed, and I took it out for a test run, and it kept dying out on me. It wasn't like sputtering or anything. It just kind of turned off, and I get it fired up, and I'd run it for a little bit more and turn off, and finally it just wouldn't start up anymore. So I towed it back into the shop, and then I changed the fuel lines, and that didn't do it. We had it idling in the shop and had a voltmeter on the shutoff solenoid.
Yep.
See if that wasn't doing well. If I just flipped the throttle a little bit, it would die out, but we never lost voltage.
Yep.
But I changed that out anyways. Figuring maybe the coil was weak or something. Is there anything else that would make it pop out on me? Like you're talking about check valves and stuff earlier. I don't know if you seem to have them or
where
you look if that doesn't do it.
So I can't remember. I wish my brother-in-law would be more receptive to doing stuff like this with me. He's been with me 25 years and for all intents and purposes, he's the best fucking mechanic I know, right? I made a video talking about the best mechanics in the United States. I obviously wasn't going to say my brother-in-law that's in my shop, but he is actually the best mechanic in the United States. And people come from all over the United States, don't even say hi to me, walk right the fuck past me because they want to talk to him because they want someone that could fix their shit, right? So he's very well known.
Yeah.
But it's entirely word of mouth because I cannot get that guy to let me film him or nothing, right? It's just the way he is. It's fine. But especially in North Dakota, he was so well known that I could have left for a month and probably nobody would have noticed, right? Because everybody's crowding in trying to just have him diagnose their problems. And he is a big cam, N14, NTC, you fucking name it, guru, right? And he would be able to tell you in a heartbeat what's going on with it. But you do have check valves. You have to, or it wouldn't hold pressure. You would have a really hard time starting it. And so that's kind of like a surefire way to figure out if you're chasing a check valve problem is if it has a hard time starting, if you have to use ether to start, or do you have to crank it.
It fires right off.
Then check valves aren't your problem. I mean, it's pretty,
Okay. So hopefully that'll do it. The other thing I wanted to ask, I bought this thing off of a neighbor, and he's pretty old and doesn't remember what he did to it, but he rebuilt the thing, and I don't think he probably put 30,000 miles on it since he rebuilt it. But I don't know what kind of antifreeze they use, and I'm kind of just want to flush it all out. What would you put? I know there's certain brands. I was thinking about putting John Deere stuff in it because I'm a small farmer, and it's, you can run it 5,000 hours in these tractors and shit. We don't screw with it unless a water pump goes out, and it's, we don't have any problems with cavitation or anything. But it's $22 a gallon.
Right. So
So I don't know what
I wouldn't
what
buy
you
that
guys.
stuff. So here's how the coolant world works. Okay, you either dealing with a HD coolant or you're not. Right, a heavy duty coolant. Right. And a
Yeah.
heavy duty extended life coolant, or you're dealing with some garbage. The only way you really go above that is when you're getting into oat coolants and stuff like that, which we're coming out with our own coolant, and it is going to be an oat coolant for sure, because I used oat my entire career. I would still use it to this day if it wasn't if it was more cost effective, but I'm working on that too, because it's not that much more, but it is such a better product. And the other cool thing about oat coolants is, like, let's say you're an oil field guy and you have something happen and you dump all your coolant on the ground. They don't got to bring in a vac truck or nothing like that, because it's 100% biodegradable, right? So that's the reason I started running it, is because I got tired of paying, $17,000 for a vac truck to come suck up 4 cups of fucking coolant, right? God damn.
That's ridiculous.
And
I must need my head examined though, because I'm running this old thing in California, and all they'll give us is 999 miles a year. And getting this thing registered was the most ridiculous shit we've ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
It's the California Air Resources Board. It's a 1-800 number, and 90% of the people there don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Of course they don't.
And you finally get one, but you can't get them a second time because it's a general 1-800 number, and there's a 2,000-minute wait, and they have to call you back. And if you don't end up picking it up, you're fucked. You got to call, and the email's the same way, and it's just they just make it so hard that you give up.
Do you want my suggestion for what you should where you should go get your coolant? If you're just a 1 or 2 two truck guy and you have a farm, go to Walmart and get SuperTech.
Exactly.
Go to Walmart and get SuperTech's pre-mixed coolant. It's yellow. But the advantage of that, first of all, it's as good as any coolant that you're going to buy on the market that is an extended life coolant. Okay. But the added advantage of that coolant is if you're in a pinch, you can mix any other color with it. Red, orange, Dex Cool,
So you wouldn't worry
green.
about going to the common dealer and getting Fleet Guard.
Fuck no. I mean, I use that, right?
Okay.
I use that, right? So if you come through here, I'm usually just looking for the best deal on coolant, because extended life coolants are extended life coolants are extended life coolants. So if you're paying more for John Deere, it's just to make it's a placebo to make yourself feel better, right? You're not getting anything for your money unless you're upgrading to something like an oat coolant. And if you're not doing that, then you're just throwing money at nothing. You might as well go get a coolant that actually has a benefit, right? And the benefit of SuperTech, which is the cheapest fucking coolant on planet Earth, is you can mix it with anything, right? And you could put it in
Do you still have to sit there and put the test strips and all that shit every so often?
No,
or?
if you're doing that, you're not using good coolant.
Okay.
Once a year, I always put,
very good.
I'll get Fleet Guard's additive once a year and pour a bottle of that in there, and I'll run it out. And, I'll take it 2 or 3 more years longer than it's supposed to go.
Okay.
All right, brother, man.
Very good. Well, that's about it. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Good luck there in Cali, brother, man. I spent a lot of time in Cali, especially when I was doing the bees there. What part you from?
Near Stockton.
Okay. I spent a lot of time in the Yuba City,
it's,
Marysville, and down
45 minutes from Sacramento. Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Okay. All right, brother, man.
You did bees, huh?
Yeah. Yep. My parent, I'm a 5th generation beekeeper. My family did bees, going all the way back when they had the hives that you had to, break them apart and ruin them just to get the honey out of it, like quite literally. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm no stranger to bees for sure. And in North Dakota, my sons and I were doing sharecropping, so we'd take other people's bees for the summer, and we grew to 10,000 colonies the last year we were there.
Yeah, I know they truck a shitload of them from out of state in here to California for all the almonds.
Yep, been there,
everything
done
else.
that many times, man, many times. So
that's probably how you got into the trucks, huh?
No, it's not. That's a whole nother story for another time. But anyway, brother, man, I got one more caller. I do appreciate you hanging out for almost an hour just to talk to me. It's very humbling, in case anyone doesn't know.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yep. Have a good night, man.
You too. Bye-bye.
I mean, I understand me giving my time. I'm already here, right? So I'm giving my time. I'm kind of stuck until the show is over. But the fact that guys hang out for a fucking hour and 20, it just, I mean, it's very humbling, guys. I do appreciate that. I had an AM talk show for 7 years. And I can tell you right now, even though it was an incredibly popular show, in my opinion, well, actually, the statistics showed it to be very popular. Ain't nobody hanging on for a fucking hour to talk to me. So I appreciate you guys. Let's take this last caller. We're going to wrap it up. Let's go. Hack Nation Live. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Just want to start off with, I appreciate what you guys do for the industry. I'm calling from Texas as well. I just kind of wanted y'all's input on the heavy duty roadside business. That's kind of what we specialize in. So I just kind of wanted to see what you guys know about it. If you guys are if you guys are basically having the same problems as us in the industry, hiring, retaining, like the talent pool out there. It seems like there's not a lot of great people. It seems like.
So my hiring process kind of exemplifies what you're complaining about. My hiring process kind of goes like this. If and I'm going to obviously get a hell of a lot more people trying to work for me just because we're so well known, right? And so I weed out most of those guys by just, they want to tell me everything they know. And I always say, I don't give a shit what you know, because I can teach you how to do anything. The only thing I care about your work ethic, because I can't teach you how to have one of those. And that usually eliminates about 98% of the potential people, because nobody wants to fucking work, right? So I understand your pain. My sons have been hounding me, trying to express to me that this is actually one of the hidden problems that no one ever talks about. And they are starting a Discord that is going to be, so you can go on like Facebook right now, and there's going to be like a cat group or a Cummins group or a Detroit group, and you can get all kinds of information. You can go to those places and talk about your problems. But the problem is it's mostly guys that
like
hang
Service Truck Anonymous.
Right, but most of the time it's guys that hang out at fucking truck stops that have no clue what the hell they're talking about, right? Giving people advice and people are taking that advice. So we're going to start a Discord. It's actually going to be a pay to play. It's going to be cheap, but we want to weed out idiots, right? So it's going to be like $10, $15, or $20 a month. And we wanted to get as many shops into it as possible, where we do nothing but support each other and where we can help each other because man, it would blow your mind how many shops call me rather than just end use customers. It's other shops that call me, trying to get me to help them solve whatever problem they have in their shop. They can't get rid of whatever truck. And I get in trouble from my old lady and the other girls that work here, because I'm supposed to be doing this and supposed to be doing that, and I'm over here fucking talking to some random Joe fixing his shit in his shop for one of his customers, and they're like, "What are you doing? We got 50 things we got to do, and you're on the phone for 45 minutes," and that's kind of why I started this show. But my sons want to take it to the next level and have a Discord where we can all come together and we'll have all these different threads where if you can go solve problems without starting a new thread. You'd be like, oh, they've already talked about this, and 50 other mechanics. And because I don't know everything, I'm not Jesus, right? There's other shops that I call still to this day when I have problems I need help with. I'm no different than anyone else, right? So my sons want to try to bring everyone together. And the other thing that we're hoping to do with that is to help bring people together that are looking for employees and looking for help and stuff like that. And that's actually their main goal behind it, is try and see if we can't figure out some of this labor problem with everybody, because we suffer from it too, just like everybody else, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So
you guys mess around with any do you guys have like leisure for your customers on like net accounts, or is it just just pay pretty much whenever you do the shop? I don't know if you guys do roadside. I know you guys have a shop for sure.
We don't do.
You guys dabble into roadside?
No. I used to own 3 different service trucks, but that's because I own tons of trucks, and I also I don't really talk about this much, but I had the Halliburton contract for the sand chassis. And I held on to that contract for like,
busy.
Oh my God, dude. I had a 10-acre lot that had so many chassis and you could barely get in there. and you know,
Yeah, nonstop work.
yeah, tires, brakes, you know, lights, all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
And that was obviously a pretty awesome contract. And I had it for almost 3 years. And so I had to have service trucks too, and especially when they're doing like those DOT blitzes and whatnot, we would go set up right before the blitz, and we would have every single anything that said Halliburton on it pull in there, and we would go through it front to back, and then send them through the DOT blitz. And the DOT, you know, there's nothing they can do about it. And in fact, if they did do something about it, that would be a really big problem, because supposedly they are there for everyone's safety. So if they tried to give us grief, that would have been an instant lawsuit, right? So they just had to watch us do that. And I made a killing doing that with those service trucks.
Yeah, I've heard other states for sure. I'm not sure about Texas too much, where like the blitz really happens here, but I know like other states are a lot more stricter about it. Was the contract you had in Texas?
Yep. No. North Dakota.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But yeah, that was a
I mean,
that was a pretty
it's
good
been
one.
tough.
Sorry.
Yeah, for us, I mean, everything. It seems like you guys stay pretty busy. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people that know you guys as well. But it seems like ours is like more of a wave.
Yeah. Well, so that's the other thing we're going to try and help everybody out with is we have so many people that are already stacking on to get on our list for our vendors. But that's part of our offering is if you get on our vendor list, we plan to help you develop your social media. We'll even come there and help you build your social media.
I got you. Yeah, I know you're excited on it, and like when it comes to social media and helping out people with that stuff. I mean, I've had so many people that I've worked with in the past help me grow our accounts and grow our pretty much following and whatever. They have been so terrible, but it actually seems like your son's really like one of the good ones out there.
A lot of people don't even know it, but in our industry, a lot of influencers, so to speak, that you see on social media, my sons are actually doing their social media.
Yeah.
Which kind of is a testament. It's kind of a testament, in my opinion, that to our confidence and just to all of that, because we are actively promoting shops all over the United States and especially in our local area, where we're promoting the shit out of other shops, and they are my competition. It doesn't bother me one bit.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's pretty much how it's supposed to be. You know, we're supposed to be watching out for each other. That's, you know, at least in this industry, I would say.
I don't know how long you've been following me, but back in August, I did a budget build. And it was a big hit, obviously, because we were offering $15,000. We were going to give you a head and in-frame kit. We're supplying all the parts, oil, coolant, filters broken, handed back to you. The bill's going to be $15,000, no matter what. And it was any engine, right? You can bring me any engine, and it warmed my heart to watch over the next 3 or 4 months. I have watched shop after shop after shop after shop advertise that they were doing a budget build. They're literally copying me, and several of them have beaten my price. I saw the last one I saw was 11,000 for the same fucking thing, and several people were 13 to 14,000. Everybody was beating my price. So anybody, you know, all these people for these years that were, you know, tried to paint me as this hack. That's the only way I could be so inexpensive, and this and that and the other. Well, we just proved that it's not true. Other shops are fucking copying me, offering a better deal than I was offering with a 2-year warranty. And instead of me getting all, oh, they're copying me, it's actually the other way around. And I'm like, holy shit, these guys are copying me. I'm making a difference. And anybody.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, the problem about this industry, man, you walk into any shop, take your truck to any shop, because I used to have trucks, so I don't know how it feels like. You walk in, it's like you're taking a risk, it feels like almost. Like, you don't know if this person's going to do it right. You know, it's like, man.
I am under the belief that the United States is absolutely fucking loaded with competent, awesome mechanics. That is not the problem. The problem is that they fuck you in the front.
100%. You're right about that.
right? You know,
Yeah,
and
for
people
sure.
come from all over the United States, Canada, and Mexico to come to my shop, not because they think I'm the best mechanic. It's because they know they're not going to get fucked.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what's wrong with this industry. People just, people just take advantage of the situation. It seems like
Yep.
all the time. Like, I mean, maybe the bigger shops, all they do is just charge a big hourly, but I mean, it seems like a lot of these like mom and pop shops. I'm not saying everyone out there, obviously, but at least some of them is just so shady.
And so I just saw somebody comment on TikTok that at $120 an hour for 40 hours is $4,000. He's absolutely right. Right.
Mhm.
So let's do the math here real quick. I wish I had a pencil or something, but we'll just do some rough math here. Let's say an in-frame kit cost me $2,800. Let's call it 3,000. Use whole numbers. 3,000 and a cylinder head cost me 3,000. I'm into it 6,000. How much profit's left over?
Yeah.
On a $15,000 budget build.
Dang.
That's quite
Everything
a bit.
else.
It's a hell
I
of
mean,
a
plus labor.
It's a hell
you
of,
know.
no, hang on. That's what I'm trying to say. If you actually break it down and do the math, that $120 an hour at 40 hours is, $5,000, right? Well, I'm making a hell of a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So that means that my hourly rate was closer to $200 an hour. The budget build is actually an awesome deal for me. I'm getting paid a hell of a lot of labor to do that job. So how in the fuck can you go down the road and get charged $45,000 for the same goddamn job?
You made a great point, because it seems like everyone is just pulling numbers out of their ass. Really,
100%.
It's just like, oh, I'm gonna stack up. I'm gonna put the number on par. I'm putting it's like what?
I searched through my comment sections hoping somebody someday is going to challenge my hourly, just my hourly calculation, because I own every single segmented time book and total time book for every engine on the market. And I can tell you exactly what the OEM manufacturer tells you is the allotted time for that engine. And I am above their price always. And I'm the cheapest place around most of the time. So what the fuck does that tell you? Everybody is ripping everybody off without exception.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like someone can charge you like 40 hours, the other guy's gonna charge you like 80, and like not have a reason for it.
No, and the main way they stick guys is with the parts, because they know people don't argue it.
True. Yeah, that is something you did mention.
Yeah, I see heads. It's really common to see heads being resold for $7,000 to $8,000, and they're getting them for $2,800.
Yeah.
Anyway, brother, we probably better wrap this up. Sounds like you're a type
For
of guy
sure.
that needs to be getting a hold of us. Get a hold of Bennett Truck Center and get on our vendor list, man. You want to be ahead of that.
For sure. One day I'll reach out to you guys whenever I'm ready.
I'll do it sooner
Definitely.
than later. Get a hold of Bennett Truck Center. They're the ones corralling all the dealers right now. Okay. All right, brother, man. You have a good night.
Sounds good.
I appreciate you
it.
being on our show.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Yep.
And that guy called last minute, and I wasn't going to take him. I'm kind of glad I did. Anyway, guys, especially y'all on TikTok, I appreciate you hanging out despite the fact you can't hear the caller. I do hope the audio did go to Facebook and whatnot like it was supposed to. I do want to apologize to anybody in the comment sections on YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok. That's not really how this show works. I mean, I could do a whole show just answering. I mean, there's questions on all three feeds nonstop, and I would love to get to them, but I can't do both. So if you do have something you want to bring up with me or address with me, guys, call the show next time. We may not be able to do the show next Wednesday. We're going to try like hell, but we're going to be in Michigan next Wednesday. We're actually going to try and do the show from Michigan with highway and heavy parts. That would be super awesome. I'm hoping that happens, but if we do it, it'll be earlier in the day, but we'll let you guys know for sure. If nothing else, though, I'll see you the Wednesday after that. And again, you guys make this show. It has been incredibly successful from day one, and I owe all of that to all of you guys. It would be nothing if you weren't blowing up the phone line, and being on hold and just participating in general. So have no doubt you guys are the success that this show has become so quickly. I would venture to say that this is the most successful show in our industry right out the gate. Our first show had, so we kind of judge by when we stop the live stream. We look at the amount of views we've had at the end of the live stream. And we've been hitting somewhere between 50 and 70,000 at the end of the live stream. That's a hell of a lot of people watching. You know, Billie Eilish or whoever else, they're not getting those kind of views. So again, thank you guys. Love you long time from the bottom of my heart. And remember, always believe in yourself, because Sasquatch doesn't believe in you either. You guys have a good night. Love you long time. Thanks for coming.